Hear that sound? That's the future knocking on your door. Gear up for an unprecedented experience with HomeBrew AI. An electrifying community of brainiacs, AI enthusiasts, digital alchemists, and knowledge seekers. This is where fellowship intermingles with creativity. Build bridges with fellow trailblazers, plunge into intellectual odysseys, and let your synapses jive to the cadence of progress. We're embarking on an ambitious endeavor to chronicle the singularity. So head over to HomeBrew AI, where the news is hot, the ideas are brewing in the singularity. Well, that's for you to find out.
Okay, hello. Okay, let's get Johnny in here.
Okay. There he is. Why do you have a fork? Are you eating cinnamon rolls again?
No. This time, they're a little crispy, but it's not that bad. I know it looks really bad, but that was just
Is that
sausages? It's a plate. It's
how many
wieners?
sausages did
What are
you
you
start
eating?
with?
The entire package.
Okay, everything is good over here on my end. All right. So the main topic of today, for the record, hello everyone, is
Hello.
something I kind of wanted to talk about mainly is the potentials of the new material. So, how much do you guys know about it?
I know a basic amount.
So it's LK-99, and the basics are that it's a superconductor with ambient temperature and pressure. We've only ever gotten them working at I think it's like 25 million psi. It's some crazy level of pressurization that needs to happen
Or extremely low temperature as well, right?
Yeah, it also needs low temperature.
As I understand it.
But effectively, if we get this working, it means compared to now, probably a 10 to 100x in compute once everything's converted over to this system, assuming it is a true superconductor. So we're pretty much on I know we'll probably talk about the alien bit later, the possible alien psyop bit, but we're at a 48-hour period of finding out if everything's about to advance significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this material works, it is not that hard to create. It's 3 materials in an oven at 725 degrees, cooked for 24 hours or something like that. And then you mix it with another substance. Yeah.
I'm not going to show it to you because I'm waiting for my Nobel Prize. But yeah, it's easily replicatable once they get the material, from what I understand. But do you know why a lot of people think this is real? The main reason is because of the way that they publish the papers. That's the biggest signifier.
Aren't they arguing over it?
No, because someone published a paper with just 3 authors on it, and and you can only have 3 people on a Nobel Prize. That indicates that them publishing the paper means that they're fucking everyone else over so they can get the Nobel Prize, basically. And why would they go through all that trouble if there wasn't something legitimately there?
So there were 6 people in total that have worked on it for the duration, possibly more, since 1990, I believe. And 3 people aren't getting credit in the first paper that was sent. This is kind of one of those things where I don't know, because it's an oddly convenient conspiracy that makes me want to believe, right?
Right,
but
right.
If you invent what this technology is, 6 people are on the damn list. Why wouldn't you do 6? It doesn't make any sense, right? You all contributed to what is the magic material that makes all computing go 10 to 100x, depending. It makes all battery technology go up significantly. We're talking the normal battery range of any Tesla is exponentially increased. We had a discussion in here recently more about like how to fix global warming and stuff like that. But the basic thing is that if you want to switch over to some new energy source, you hate oil, right? You need to make something better. So if you could make a car that has 1,000 miles of charge on it, nobody's getting a gas vehicle ever again. It's more powerful and it lasts forever.
Yes.
You just charge
Energy
it.
density is the main reason for gas and diesel right now.
Yeah, a lot of the main thing Elon talks about this with is like reforming the power and moving towards renewable energy with a lot of it's solar. But a ton of the energy that's produced by gasoline is complete waste. It's just heat waste. We don't do anything with it. It just goes, in fact, you need like fans to cool it. This would be a big thing with the superconductor, is that you wouldn't need fans for most computer related things.
Correct. That's what I've heard. You wouldn't have to cool your computer, your fan, your batteries.
Your phone would never get hot in your hand.
Well, that's going to change as well. In the meantime, that's going to change, from what I understand, like quantum supercomputers as well, because there's a lot of cooling that goes into that, right? And the energy transfer. That's also going to change crypto mining. And I know we talked about if like cryptocurrency with quantum, but I think we had that discussion.
Right.
When that's solved out, it's only going to be like one of 6 companies that hacked into everyone's wallets, and there's going to be like absolute hell to pay at that point. But not to get too off into the woods, like a quantum computer is just not something that in the next like 10 years people are going to have. The technology, it's massive, so people aren't going to have that in their basement. But
well, it
point
might,
being is this is going to change a lot of tech, like all of it.
It might be in your basement because it's ambient pressure to do this.
Yeah,
is like a big part of it. So we're kind of headed towards. Go ahead.
Do you think that this? Do you think that this is going to make it to where then like quantum computers are going to become much smaller, like the modern computer has?
Probably,
or
yeah.
At a much more rapid pace.
Well, just logically think about what the last computer was in the 60s, 70s, right? It was the size of a damn house, the entire computer. And we've already got quantum computers, they're the size of like a staircase, depending, like a spiral staircase. If you can picture that. Yeah. So like we've got quantum computing. It's
good
shrinking in size. Well, I was thinking of a cylindrical thing I could point out.
Is it going to be like a step stool next?
So, like, my sister's the one that works with quantum computing, not me. I claim no knowledge to this.
Your sister works with quantum computing, and you're telling me this now after 9 episodes?
I've mentioned this. If you want to have her on at some point,
Okay.
But she's not gonna take any shit, and she's not gonna give anyone any leeway. If she thinks something's bullshit, she's gonna say it. She's a character. But my point here is I don't know how much of that space is required because of heat and cooling, right? So like the reason that computers were that size was not because of heat back in the 70s, right? That wasn't the reason. So that's my question is how much of the size of quantum computers right now, like we know that there's a good portion of like your average supercomputer that it's taken up because it's heat dispersion, right? And so we know that that's going to shrink it a lot. Well, how much of the quantum computer is how much of its size is actually only there because it needs to disperse heat? I don't know that. I'd have to. That's my question, because then that could that would be, I think, that would change things a lot, because now you can fit it in a smaller space.
That's a fair point.
So that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because if the main size of it's from the technology, the actual hardware, not from the heat dispersion technology, then a superconductor at ambient, temperature and regular atmosphere isn't necessarily going to change the size of that. I mean, it might a little bit, but I don't know how much of that the size of it is in regards to cooling.
Well, as I understand, it has to do with the noise around it. You kind of have to have isolation between each qubit to actually read it right. If you have too much like together, you can't really read it as well, as reliably.
Okay.
So then that's just something that evolves over time, like the regular computer
Right,
has.
right.
Not really.
Yeah.
So no supercomputer in my no quantum computer in my pocket just yet.
Well,
No, maybe 10 years.
for those of us that are gamers that are listening to this, you know a little bit. If you've ever put together a computer, there's the processor and then the heatsink, and the heatsink is the majority of the processor. The processor's just this tiny little chip,
Yes.
and if you no longer need cooling for that, the size of the computer goes down significantly because it doesn't need a fan anymore. It doesn't need the heatsink anymore. So even like graphics cards in general will just probably shrink down to a small little cube that fits on the motherboard, just chips in. And then who knows how small the motherboard gets, because some of the distance there is probably cooling related. So we're headed towards all sorts of things. It's not just the coolant, by the way. It's that the power
I'd
travels.
say a decent amount of it's cooling the distance
Yes,
on
it
the
is.
motherboard because and that's not for dispersion on the actual motherboard. That's because you can't have your GPU and your CPU ports right
Yes.
next to each other because it has to make room for the fan. So instead of having your motherboard that's this big, I mean, you'd be able to shrink it down to something like this realistically.
Well, probably just all stacked on top of each other to some degree. Like just you got a little wallet for your computer, and it's just as powerful as anything you can build now. So that's probably what we're also headed towards. But I think another aspect to why it's not even just the cooling, it's that there's zero resistance on the electricity, right? So that means my friend described it as it would perform at full power, right? So there's no resistance to the electricity traveling through all of the computer. What's the word for this? My brain escapes me right now. But the point is that the electricity has no resistance, so processors would, with the same architecture, if you can mimic it with the same material or the new material, what you get is just a more powerful unit within that same footprint. So we're probably headed towards not only like smaller computing, but just significantly more powerful computing, just on a gigahertz in processing level. It's coming to a significant performance leap. So what this also means is that like within the next 48 hours, if we find out this is a thing, it's not only that like we already have massive computing advances already, it's that we're going to have significantly more. This means all AI accelerates significantly. We'll know if it's real the second that Elon or any other very large tech company starts working with this stuff. NVIDIA will be one. NVIDIA and Intel will also be the other ones that it's real because they'll start talking about it. Now, the one thing that like I don't know on a hardware level is how hard is this to integrate? Because it could be a thing where it takes 3 years of research and development before we can integrate this technology into batteries and processors, you name it. But it could also be one of those things where you just swap the damn part out. It's just the conductor. So it might be significantly faster. And then you might also just get gains by using it in the stopgaps in between where you would use a normal conductant. Right? So it might you might get like 20, 30% gains just doing those little things in between. So next 48 hours are big for humanity as far as advancement goes. It's very exciting to like see. There's so many people with the I want to believe, but it's the little floating chip on the disc.
Yeah.
I love
saw that. That was good. That was a good meme. I like that. Yeah.
Well, it'd be an overall increase in computing ability even without new architecture, just simply because the current architectures could just run, instead of being always slightly throttled from heat in the instance of GPUs or CPUs, they can just run at 100%. You wouldn't have power saving mode for anything but batteries on computers. It would just run at the full. The funny thing I heard mentioned, though, is that it's made partially from lead. So can you imagine if it's like just putting lead in everything? Like we're going back to that.
Oh yeah, we're going back to the lead. The paints were conductant.
Oh, good.
The wonder material.
We'll never escape.
It'd be
lead.
very interesting to see. And
I
lead
love
never
it. I
escapes you.
always
It comes full
I put a
circle.
little lead in my diet every day. It's good
Oh, I
for you.
couldn't tell.
That's how I super conduct. No one was laughing at the jokes I was making, and I was like, "Oh, there's something about some kind of soup, or some kind of like train conductor, and he's got this soup he's making at room temperature. Like, what's going on?" And like, not a single person even responded in the server. Like, no one laughed, and so I
Were they
just kept
funny?
making the joke. No, it wasn't funny, but I figured someone would at least tell me to shut up. But I was laughing.
I think
Oh,
they
this
just felt sorry
conductor
for you,
guy's
you
got
know?
this soup. He's got this soup recipe.
You said you had some of this material in the background. I believe you.
You know, I've got some in my basement. I'm not gonna let anyone in on it.
I,
But
I believe I think it's red phosphorus is one of the things. I might be wrong, but it's some phosphorus, something like that,
That's
right?
what I've heard. Yes.
You can't buy it anywhere because so many people are buying it to like hold it to sell it. If basically it's like one of the biggest investment opportunities ever if it's real. So like there's going to be millionaires with red phosphorus just packed in their little shed, you know? Don't even know it.
yeah, invest now, right? It reminds me. It would be funny if it was all an elaborate hoax. I think would be funny. There's a couple of those that have been around on some forums where they're like, "Oh, here's this thing you can make. You can make crystals at home if you combine this, this, and this." And then it's
Yes.
just like
It gasses you.
it gases you. Basically, what's mustard gas? Or not mustard. It's one of those.
It's mustard gas.
And
It'll kill you.
it is mustard gas. Yeah. It'll kill you.
What
They
people
did that
don't
with
know,
putting the phones in the microwave as well.
there are legitimate sociopaths that make memes that will kill you if you follow them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was with the same thing with like people saying if you microwave your fucking iPhone,
Your phone.
It overclocks the chip or makes it faster.
Okay,
just weird shit like that.
Those people weren't sociopaths. I don't think that was as bad.
Okay, my point is
It wasn't
that
nice.
that's a well-known example. That's why I said
It was mean. It was mean.
There was the other one.
The best example.
The waterproof.
Best example is the
you dunk it
iPad.
in. What was with the iPad?
The iPad one was it's an app that's a scale, so you go step on your iPad to weigh yourself, and they just crack the screen. That's pretty harmless. That's not like blowing anything up, but it still breaks your iPad.
Yeah. I think can you imagine like
seconds of iPhone in the microwave?
Can you imagine that moment when you're like stepping on your iPad to like weigh yourself, and then it cracks, and you go, "Oh, I'm a fucking idiot!" Like how long until you realize, right?
I'd be like, "Damn, I guess I need to hit the gym." It didn't even register it properly.
I guess a smarter person, right? That's like slightly able to fall for it, but might be smarter would like put a phone on top of it or something smaller to weigh that first and see what happens.
Right.
But there's definitely some people that like got out of the shower, you know, like they tried to lay themselves on the iPad.
I'd weigh myself.
There's at least one person out there that did that, so that's good.
I mean, that's bad.
No, it's good. I'm glad he's out there.
We don't condone damage.
I need someone to be better than Johnny.
That's true.
Yeah, you see what I'm...
That's very true. That's a valid point.
You need at least one person in your life that you're better than.
At least one. Just one out there. Just one. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Not asking a lot. Not a lot of people. Not two or three. Just one person.
Like, you know, when
so
girls...
were we going to get into the aliens?
Well, it's like when girls they have the ugly friend that they take all the pictures with, so they look better. That's what I do.
Aliens?
I'm not telling you which one it is, though.
Oh, they're not aliens. Jeez, they're just unattractive. That's kind of harsh.
So, my biggest problem with this alien thing, by the way, is the clarification and the lack of questioning from the lady who asked it, where she goes... Right. Are there non-human biologicals in the craft? And he says, yes, like absolutely, something to that effect, right? Why don't you just go, okay, so for clarification, do you mean extraterrestrials? Some sort of alien life unknown to the planet was the pilot.
Or there's a frog.
There needs to be...
They put a frog in there.
So yeah, now there's all sorts of like, there's a damn ape in there, you know, who hijacked it, or there's a fox piloting it. Like, who knows it could be anything now.
It's
So
Lassica. It's Lassica. It's the fucking Russian dog they sent up into space,
he's back
and they
with a
let
vengeance.
die up there. And the dog's back. She's back, and she's pissed.
Why do you know the
There
dog's
should
name?
be no. Yeah,
That's
hold on a
impressive.
second.
Slightly. Wait a minute. Where are you from? Really?
You a foreign agent?
What?
That's a
You
strange
know,
little weird fact to know. But anyways, I think like it just added like that lady just needed to ask the one more question so that we don't have all this stupid shit surrounded by it, like
There
people
should be
saying,
no
Like-
question.
like-
Is it an alien?
Yeah.
You playing games? You know what an alien is. If it's not an alien, what is it? A frog? Is it an alien? Yes, no.
yeah, that's basically the issue that we're running into with that, where there's no.
It's the old World War II pigeons, the homing pigeons that they used for the missiles that they were gonna. You guys know about that? Yeah, that's
No,
the
I
pigeons
don't.
would. So they'd train a pigeon to peck at like a circle, and then they'd train the pigeon to peck at like a moving circle. And then what they do is their theory was, and it kind of worked, is they'd show a picture of like a battleship moving, and the pigeon would pick at the battleship as it move around, and that way the missile would guide itself in the air. That's what's been flying everything is pigeons.
It's the proto AI days, you know, when you didn't have much to work with. You just use a pigeon.
Just use a bird. Put a bird in there. Put a bird in my calculator. It just solves it. We can just train it to do math.
Don't joke about that. They're starting to map the whole brains of small animals now. They're going to start using them as the processors.
Yeah, they have a fully working simulation of a fruit fly. They told it to like eat or something. I don't remember what they told it to do, like the few simple things it can do, and it's a fully programmed, simulated fruit fly brain. Like as far as we know, just it thinks it's a fruit fly in there, and like that's strange. Like at what point are we doing that with like a rat inside the? Because if you kind of think about
they're
it,
going to use them as processors.
well, yeah, if you kind of think about it, you could make like a rat that's a program and then train it to do things, and it touches buttons. Who knows, right? Obviously, we'll have far more advanced like AI models that will just do this, but they can already technically do it now. But once you can simulate like animals, that adds a lot of weird layers to things, like video games. You have a real rat running around. Like, as far as you know, it looks like a real rat because of how it exactly behaves.
You can't kill it then. It's unethical. You can't.
But-
You're gonna get arrested. You
everyone kills
pickpocketed
rats
an
now.
NPC in the game. Well, some people think it's wrong. Some people are against that. Could have relocated it in the game. You could have You could have introduced it into a new habitat. You could have done a what do they call it? Non-kill, an ethical non-kill trap. And then you could have rehomed it to a new environment.
Yeah, rehomed it behind the shed. Okay. I want
6
to bring
feet
up
here.
a point. I want to bring up a point. Didn't they release this AI news the second the superconductor news came out?
Do you mean the alien news?
Yes, the real fake
No.
alien.
No. The alien news came about 2 days before. Yeah. This has been going on for years, right? Like the
This
two
has been going on for a very long time.
the two pilots that are witnesses to this alien stuff, they've both been on both Lex Friedman's podcast and Joe Rogan's podcast much earlier, and told their whole story about what they saw these UAPs out up in the air, and you know some people have been hit by them, and then the third witness is he is a military guy with like one of the highest. I think it's like the highest you can get security clearance, who is basically saying like, yes, these are there, and we have many of these craft, something like 10 or more. Like the U.S. government just possesses them, says they possess them since the 1930s.
Yep.
So that's pre-Roswell. Like, we're telling the truth.
Well, that's because so if you look into this, right? So this is obviously post Cold War. So during World War I and World War II, both sides assumed that these lights or whatever bullshit, right? The Germans in World War I and World War II, and then Ottoman Empire and all these. They all thought, okay, this is the other enemy. This is the enemy. They're doing this stuff. War ends, and they realize, you guys saw that too? We thought that was you. What do you mean that wasn't? That was us. That was you, right? So we know that, and here's kind of the way I explain it. So there's something going on. I'm not going to make any claims as to what, because that's a bit beyond me. But it certainly cannot be the Chinese. And the reason why it cannot be the Chinese is because if you think about where China was in the 1930s, there you go. It couldn't have been them, right?
No
It
railroads.
could not have been the Russians, because the Russians did not have the technology at the time, because we did not have the technology at the time, and we beat them in the space race, if you think that we landed on the moon. So, and also their economy ended up collapsing trying to compete with us in the space race. We also had like the SR-71 Blackbird, which was like the most advanced piece of machinery during the 1960s. Like it's super classified. If we had the technology for the what we saw making the movements, the same things, we would not have spent that much money on the SR-71 Blackbird.
It's a good point.
We wouldn't have done it. There'd be no reason for it. So when the Cold War ended, then we started sharing this information, and they're like, "That was you guys, right? Doing the little thing there," and we're like, "Nope. Was that you guys? Nope. Who the fuck was it?" Well, if it wasn't the Russians, and the Russians say it wasn't them, and it wasn't the Americans say it wasn't them. That's it. That's the only two. That's the only two groups who could have accomplished that level of technology in the post World War II era. It's the only two nations. It was not the Germans, because we got all the German documents when they lost. We went in. We took all their scientists, right? We took all their scientists. We sort of like filtered all their information. I'm sure some documents were lost, but then you're kind of getting into like the esoteric. They went to Antarctica for weird reasons, right? Like, to assume that the Germans were doing this stuff during World War II is to kind of fall down that rabbit hole of what is essentially kind of nonsense. To
That
assume
would
that
be
the
the
Russians
weirdest
had this
timeline.
technology. Yeah,
Like Nazi
right.
Germany
So
just
if we're
comes
just
back.
thinking,
It's
and they're
them.
like, oh, we were in Antarctica. We were there the whole time, right? Like that's kind of like the stuff you start to have to believe in order to assume that we had this technology,
Well, it
because
wouldn't
it's so
work.
far beyond.
It wouldn't work if the 30s part is true, right? So we assume everything's like honest here, and like it's not a whole government psyop to distract us from who knows what, right? Like the Hunter Biden stuff, the impeachment that is pending, but who knows if that'll ever happen, right? Like all these things that are going on, and then more money flowing to Ukraine, you name it. Why wouldn't they start talking about aliens? Now, the joke about aliens has generally been that if aliens come out and contact us, we now have like generative AI technology to the point where you can't really believe
current thing.
Yes, you will know if it is a complete psyop if they are literally support the next greatest current thing that the government wants you to believe. If it is just literally verbatim what you would hear on an HR meeting, right? We got problems. If it's just mirror image of some big corporation's policies and morals.
Problems, yes. Aliens, no.
Yeah, so that's kind of. But I always have to think, and this is why these kind of things are difficult. So it's the same way with any sort of like political movement. So you have your actual true believers of your political movement. Then you
Right.
have your subversives, right? So and this is why things get complicated in politics, is because you have your well, there's two types, right? Like you have your people who are peddling influence but truly do believe it, but they're also being sort of shifted one way or another, right? So like if I got very famous and I was part of some political alignment, it would only make sense, therefore the powers that be, both sides of the alignment, right, would put people around me to then influence my decisions, right? That's the way that the CIA, the FBI, that's the way the federal government operates. That we've known they operate this way. So everything has to be sort of thought through that lens. But if you think too much, then you gain no information from anything that happens. And I'll give you an example. So You see a political commentator, and you think, does he really believe that, or does he not actually believe that? Or is he being paid to say that? Or does he really believe it, but they're influenced? And it's the same way with the alien things. Okay, are the aliens actually real, or are they trying to distract us from something? Oh, or is this all in a lab, or are they actually real, right? But they're saying it now to distract us from something. Like, there's just too many. There's too many
layers
layers.
to the cake here. See,
Yeah, it gets very complicated.
Another issue we have with it is that each one of us in this room can take a lot of time, and you can create very convincing hoax videos right now with current technology on your personal computer. You could totally hoax stuff and make it. I've seen all kinds of videos of it, like people doing weird stuff. And who knows to what degree, like, I'm sure people have seen the UFO videos or things where like a big bird gets stuck in the sky or something, like just weird stuff that goes on that people are like, oh, aliens, you name it, or there's a UFO flying over, and then you just dub in people in the background like screeching or whatever, right? You can convince people that something like that has happened near you. Now, who knows to what degree we may be actually seeing this. But the problem is that possibly might make all of this more believable is that the UFO stuff that was released, there apparently is a ton more of higher quality, but the UFO videos that we have of like the Tic Tac and the one that wobbles, I don't remember what the hell that one was called, but it was the one that David Fravor saw, where they're from the early 2000s. These videos that we have, and they're cockpit videos. So it's like you have 20-year-old videos-ish, 15 to 20 years old. It's kind of harder, supposedly. But if we assume the best,
and I just want to make well, and that's the thing is like, if you want to be, I'm being very skeptical about this. But the problem with skepticism, and in all instances, is that you don't have the information to be skeptical about everything, right? You have to take some things at face value. You're not intelligent enough to be skeptical about every single thing. Otherwise, you have no you personally, right, would not know a doctored footage from 2001 versus a real footage from 2001. You wouldn't know what a doctored military document looks like versus a real one. You wouldn't know what a doctored physics paper explaining versus a real one.
I feel like you're just insulting me. How do you know that I wouldn't know?
I wouldn't know.
Maybe you wouldn't, Johnny, huh? You thought about that?
Johnny's cutting out on us so bad.
I'm sorry, and I peaked my mic. But the point is, I would have no idea. Unless I'm shaking hands with the fucking thing, right? It's many appendages, slimy little appendages. I don't know.
We're getting pretty good at surgery, you gotta be careful even then. That's all I'm saying. But the point... The point in general is
a lot of people walking around with slimy appendages.
Yeah, you haven't seen them? You didn't see that guy that turned himself into a dog?
Oh, yeah.
He went for his first walk today. It was great. It was on the New York Post.
I've ever seen.
He's a good boy. Yes, he is.
Don't say that. That's unsettling.
Who's a good boy? He's just like fucking grown-ass man turned himself into a dog. He's a border collie. Big border collie, biggest border collie I ever saw.
You're scratching him, and he's doing the little leg kick.
Oh, it reminds me of the South Park episode. God damn it, everything's a dolphin with us. The South Park episode where they literally turn Stan Marsh into a dolphin, and he turns into a dolphin. and
what about the one? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
What about the one where they dress Butters up as a dog because they hit him in the eye with a throwing star, and they don't want to take him to the hospital? So they think if they dress him up as a dog, I think he goes into the vets, and they try to put him down.
South Park is a great show, but anyways, the point is that we're in like a state of technology where you're probably right. The only way that you can actually believe the aliens are real is you literally see them face to face. It's going to take a certain threshold of people that actually see these things that you personally even trust to some degree before you can legitimately say these aliens are here, because they can fake whatever the hell they want. I think if
But
we give them
expert science man says yes. The guy who's getting lots of money from the government says the thing the government said is real. Does not really satisfy my skepticism, but at the
that
same time,
echoes recent events.
I can't live my life. I can't live my life like that either.
Recent events have proven we can't really trust that. So who knows, right? But beyond that point, we also have the other aspect to it is that if it's all true, we do have to assume a lot. We have to benefit of the doubt ad infinitum. But why aren't we trying to contact them? Why are we shooting them down? What's going on with all these stories, right? And
Castle Doctrine, that's why.
America's running the show? Is that what we're dealing with? Okay.
Hell yeah, that's Castle Doctrine. You get off my property, you alien bastard.
Hippity hoppity. Get off my property. but that's
my property. I don't know. I again, there's just too much. There's too much. Like, how would people even handle that? Maybe they would shoot them down. Maybe we would just shoot them down. Maybe we'd be like, fuck it, just shoot them down, so we could get the technology and harvest it.
The thing is, like, if we've had it for that long, the level of technological advancement we've had in the past 100 years is insane. For the record, like, it's fucking insane. But is it
not that insane?
Does it explain having alien technology? Probably not. Like, maybe that's like an ego thing. We're like, humans are so smart, we'll figure all this out, right? But did we? Probably. That's my bet, generally speaking, is that we probably did figure all this out. We figured out microprocessors. We're now working with quantum compute. We're figuring that technology out. We're figuring out massive parallel graphics computing to do artificial intelligence. Like, I think we would be significantly past where we are right now if we had alien technology. However, there is the argument that if you brought the Victorian era, this is Bob Lazar's argument, who is a famous alien conspiracy guy who apparently worked on these at a military base. Who knows, right? The problem is that the descriptions of the craft are matching his description, so who knows? Maybe they're just using his part of the story to make it more believable. But my point is that we're now in a position where at what point do we start to believe any of this? And I think it's you have to be shown. Like, why aren't you showing the ships? And the problem is that we're only on a witness basis right now, where they're just saying that we did this, and then we're trying to compel the Biden government to release the info. That's where we're at. And
Can
like,
you really
who knows
call it that? Can you call it? You really call it the Biden government?
What, the Kamala
I feel
government?
like that's just offensive.
Is that what we're
They
doing
waited
here?
so long.
Kamala government. I think that's ridiculous as well. I think the idea that
It's the
either of
deep
those
state.
two people have the intelligence to run. Well, I think there's also like a big confusion as well, because the military within the U.S. and the CIA and the FBI. Well, the FBI can obviously be used by but a lot of these intelligence agencies and these they just are like, okay, there's a new person in charge. Cool. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and it's none of your fucking business.
That's a fair point, because, but there's also another there's just weird parts of the story where we see hundreds of these every year. These UAPs, apparently, maybe less, but the point is we see a ton of them in a military setting while we're flying, right? But David Fravor's claim is that they'll report it, but there's no place that takes the report and like logs these. Like, why is that a thing? Are we really gonna? Like, I guess we can believe government incompetence to that level, but are we sure about that? Like, why?
Well,
why is that part of the story?
I wouldn't say that No, well, this is not really about the aliens either. I mean, this is like what with the CIA's relation and what they did and kind of fucked over JFK, the whole Bay of Pigs stuff. I mean, they've been hiding shit from presidents for a pretty long time. They've been doing stuff under the guise of need to know basis. There's senators that are involved in things that the president doesn't know about. I mean, that's just,
Well, that's
sorry, I hate
probably
to burst the
obvious.
bubble there.
That's probably obvious,
So-
but my point is, like, does that make the story more believable that, like, part of the reason that there's no mass investigation of this is that we're not logging it? Or are we...
It's because no known to the public entity is logging it. Let's be specific. I'm not saying it's real or not. I am, but someone needs to play devil's advocate here.
No, I'm not saying it's real in any way, because I just don't... I'll believe it when we see one flying, like, for real, like... A genuine... Basically, they've said that there's some sort of, like, humans have piloted these to some degree, or tried to, and let's get the films of that. Let's see the inside of it. And we're pretty much screwed until the government decides to treat us like adults and show us what's going on. And now it's just this annoying bit where we're going to argue about this for another 2 years.
I'm not going to believe it until I fly the damn thing. I know. Okay, maybe it's true, but until I shake its slimy appendage, I have no reason to. But, like, why would they hide it? Why would they hide it? And, like, what, like, you got to think, like, the way people operate. So the whole, like, it's going to agree with all current year stuff. The way human beings operate, we're already very collective, right? So if like someone in another country, like, you can hate the country you're in, right? And a lot of people don't like the country they live in. But the moment another person in a country, like, criticizes your country, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Listen here, Jack. You don't know shit. So, like, everyone might, like, our government's evil and human beings are terrible. But the moment, like, a totally real alien species says, you guys need to do this, this, and this, I promise you, droves of people are going to go, shove it up your ass, you Xenos. I'm not listening to anything you have to say. So, like, I just don't see that as an effective strategy for government control. Like, especially if they're like, oh, but they're just so much smarter than you. Instantly, 50% of people are going to be like, fuck them then. Like, that's not going to work for people. People are not going to respond positively to being told, well, they're just smarter and better and they know more than you, so you should just do what the aliens say. Like, that's going to piss so many people off in so many countries and divide them. Well, it's going to unify them against whoever's, like, that's just, in my opinion, that's how it would happen. So I don't really see this as an effective means of control at all. Like, the aliens said bad thing, bad, good thing, good, don't do bad thing. Like, that's just, like, people are going to be like, well, like, they can say the aliens say don't jump off a bridge, and at least, like, 30% of people in the world, maybe higher in the U.S., are going to be like, oh, yeah? Don't jump off a bridge. Watch this, buddy. So it's just not...
How do you know it's not a real alien, but they're bullying them? How do you know it's not a real alien, and they're like, say this or we're going to nuke you?
Yeah, and I'll still jump off the bridge when they tell me not to. You can't tell me what to do. So well, that's something to think about as well.
On the more conspiratorial side, where there were there was a 3-hour conference on this. I forget what it was called. It was some group that is, they're requesting funding. They have all sorts of documents. The documents. They have tons of paperwork on this in general, and they're trying to get people to help them go through and archive it and create some massive wiki on all the alien stuff. But you name it, right? But the point is there's a ton of these witnesses who are talking all about this, and part of the conspiracy is that there's some sort of underground government. So you've got the deep state that has this technology, and this technology is so great.
Deep state shadow government.
Yes. Yeah, so this is like the conspiracy on the other layer of like what we haven't seen, right? So the conspiracy is
this go through.
So yes, so they have the technology, right? This magical technology. There's giant orbs underneath the Antarctic ice, all kinds of stuff like this. And
is this confirmed?
No, but
they're the wrong podcast.
I'm serious.
Was that bird that flew in Antarctic.
Okay, so the point is they claim there's like a satellite that's supposed to be in the Antarctic, and but the conspiracy is that it's not really a satellite. If you really look at it, it's a gun. It's going to shoot the aliens when they come. It's like people start talking about all kinds of shit. But it's like a 3-hour conference I watched with a bunch of people in a room, serious people, ex-military, and they're talking about all this stuff, saying that these people are keeping this technology from humanity, and then there's degrees of it where it's presented as, oh, well, here's the reason that the aliens aren't contacting us is because we're not a one-world government to deal with. They don't want to come in and deal with Russia. They don't want to come in and deal with China. They don't want to come in and deal with the USA, right? There's a mix of populations that are in control of one
They
Earth.
can visit another world and they can't deal with that. Give me a break.
Isn't it? It's so convoluted.
Give me a fucking break. We already do it as humans.
So here's the point: is like they go into like this conspiracy
Big
of like
gun.
of they've the reason that they're trying to take over the deep state's trying to take over the world and create a one world government is so that we can work with the aliens.
Why would they need to do that to work with the aliens?
Shut the fuck up. Listen to me. They've got a big gun on the
trying.
south tip of Antarctica.
God.
Somehow we're going to aim that at, they're just going to totally come right into the degree of the southern tip of Antarctica, right? Like,
what's going on? You're aiming an alien's tip. They're coming. What?
Shut the fuck up.
It's a big cum. It's on the tip. It's a big cum on the tip. We're gonna aim it at the aliens, and they're gonna work with one whole government.
Are you guys proposing we make the aliens work with us by making them cum? Is that your strategy? You know?
Oh, they're so slimy.
Oh,
God.
I hate to reference it again, but
now I see why you want the tentacles, Johnny.
I got stuff. I got a lot of plans. I can't let you in on right now because the haters are out there, and I can't let them know. I can't let them know what I'm plotting. It reminds me of the Rick and Morty scene where Morty thinks he's like torturing this alien to get information, but he's just jerking him off. And then he's like, and then Rick's like, what? Oh, we could torture people, but we can't jerk them off, Morty. It's like that's all I could think of. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's how we're gonna get all the technology from them. They're gonna be like, we've evolved.
No,
past
fucking come here. Jesus Christ.
we don't have appendages anymore because they've linked with cybernetics. So now they need other alien species that are at a certain point, before they get to that point where they evolve to jerk them off. I don't think you've heard that story.
Well, this is part of the biblical tales of the Nephilim, right? The ancient giants of the Bible. They came to Earth and they you go deep into like the conspiracy on it.
To jerk them off.
No, they took our women because they were beautiful and they taught us things and helped fight in wars for us, and they taught women witchcraft, which might translate to makeup. Don't quote me on that. But there's the point is I've heard this story before. Maybe that was them. The Nephilim are back. It's the giants.
Is that why I'm so tall? I'm part slimy appendage.
Possible. Listen, Robert Wadlow did exist.
They're gonna put me in like a slightly different caste system. They're like, okay, you're like 2 rungs above. Like the manlet Civil War.
The manlet cast. They're even dejected in the alien world.
It's truly never been more over than it is now, huh? I don't know. I just think it's all pretty like fanciful and farcical and like nonsensical, and they just spit so many years when someone be like, I got probed by an alien right up, and like that's the other thing is like. But like, here's the problem. Like, how do you know that those people weren't like? You always say, okay. So when they had this is going to slight tangent, but it connects. So when you had the March on Wall Street, where basically everyone lost their jobs and everyone lost all their money and they were fiscally ruined forever, and they realized I'll never be able to retire, and then all the like bankers and everyone didn't get any punishment, and we just kind of forgot about it. People just stopped caring, which was crazy.
If you wait
and
long
the government's
enough,
like,
yes.
And the government's like, don't worry, guys, we're going to bail all them out. And then everyone's like, that's not okay. We're going to march on Wall Street. And then the news goes to interview these people, and they're like, what are you out here for, sir? Man, capitalism, man. Fuck. The government, like, money. Like, no.
Are you talking about the...
Why are you...
Are you talking about the... What was it? The 99%? What was that called? The... What incident are you talking about?
This is 2009 March on Wall Street.
Okay.
Right? Remember how the people they
I was too young
all,
to
like,
know
really...
any of this.
Well, I watched the news since I was like 6. But the people that they interviewed, and then
tell
when
you
I
talk
watched
like
it,
that.
I was like, wow, these people are stupid. These people are dumb. They must be behind a dumb cause. I love Wall Street. What the heck? I love Wall Street now. And so, like, that's the thing with, like, the alien stuff. If you are an entity and people are, like, onto you, all you have to do is put a bunch of crazies out there that are like, yes, we agree with that too.
That's pretty
So, like,
standard,
that's like
yeah.
the whole, like, the idea the probe, like, an alien's gonna, like, gotta look up his asshole. Like, that's what the intergalactic species is coming down, and then be like, all right, boys, open his butthole. We're looking there. Oh wow, we're learning so much about humans. Like, sometimes I think these people are crazy, but sometimes then I think about, like, the whole March on Wall Street protests and how they only interviewed people who were, like, really dirty, dumb sounding, like, hippies who just couldn't string us and were clearly high on something. And it's like, okay, who's really getting coverage here? Is it the rational actors who are seeing something? Because every like, you could say that the sun rises every morning, and you could have a group of people who are like, that's their political alignment. The sun's gonna rise tomorrow, and you could go interview one of them, and they're just completely insane, just completely nuts. And you'd be like, these sun's rising tomorrow, guys. They're crazy. I don't think the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. I mean, if this is what, yeah, so that's like the other problem is, like,
Occupy
who
Wall
is
Street
being
was like this
represented.
too. If you ever
Man, I
watched
love
the
AI.
Occupy March on Wall Street is, yeah, that's what I meant. It's the same thing. I think. I don't know.
Listen, it doesn't have to adhere directly to AI all the time. AI involves everything.
That's true. Well, we talked about aliens, alien dick, aliens, alien assholes, Occupy Wall Street,
That was human assholes.
JFK,
actually.
the CIA.
This is mostly from Johnny, for the record. I'm blaming him. Listen, he comes back and we start talking about aliens. Think about it.
I don't think you should think about it anymore for your own good. I think you should probably stop thinking about it.
Okay.
You know
You
what
gonna
I'm
hold up
saying?
a strobe light to the
All right,
camera,
what-
Johnny?
what do you
want
wanna-
to swipe for memories?
You're gonna forget. So it's, yeah, I don't know.
Forget
I
what?
don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Either way, aliens are real, aliens are not real. Like, and unless it changes me having to go to work, come home, pay the bills, like, worry about crime, worry about inflation. If it changes that kind of stuff, I'm gonna start giving a shit. And until it does, I don't, like, care.
Right, like, okay, we got aliens now. Most people are gonna be like, okay, cool. I don't want to pay $10 for grapes. Like,
Well,
doesn't.
Even if it's some, like, the government is actually at a secret war with aliens or something, and we've developed these, like, solar system nuking devices, and we end up getting evaporated. Fuck, I can't do anything about that, so I don't give a shit. I don't
Fair
care.
point.
I still
Doesn't
think
matter.
unless they would attest that we are in contact with them, if these things are real and they're around, the reason that they're shooting them down makes complete sense. They are just drones from another galaxy. That's like my ultimate, like, thing of, like, unless we find out stuff
Right.
like we're in contact, if you give it the full benefit of the doubt, why they're shooting them down is because there's nothing to fucking contact. It's just, and if there is a biological in there, it's like a clone that is just there as a von Neumann probe to send back data to its home planet.
Or it's like a bioelectrical, like we talked about, simulating the fucking rat brain. It's like a little
Yes.
simulated glork flork brain. I don't know. I'm not. Don't ask me to name alien stuff, but, you know, I think Glork is a pretty good species name. Someone's got to name this stuff. Might as well be me. At least it's funny that way.
So the point is that it would make complete sense that that's why they're shooting them down. They're just drones. So full benefit of the doubt. That's my opinion on it. I don't.
And there's probably no hazard in that, I would imagine. Otherwise, if we've been shooting this stuff down since the 30s, right? Because then you have to assume, the assumption is, the alien, they keep crashing. They're just crashing all the time. No, we've probably been shooting them down. So if it is real, and there's no way they're actually fucking crashing, that's horseshit. So we've been shooting them down for almost 100 years, maybe longer, and nothing's killed us yet. So
the final point to that is that there is one other piece of evidence that is a witness where he is effectively a lawyer who, well, no, he's not a lawyer. I think he's a medical expert who has come in on these court cases with military families where their family has died from some UAP type thing. There's claims of deaths of like hundreds of people, and he's been an expert witness on the whatever brain waves crash your brain and kill you or give you brain damage. So there's other, yes, like this is a real person. He's an expert witness to
brain soup.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll play the clip at the end of the. We'll play the audio at the end of the podcast. Don't worry about it.
The point is that that's also possibly just some sort of radiation weapon by the United States, and they're covering it up with like, oh, here's a convenient thing. So basically, it's difficult to say whether or not any of it's real, and we're just going to have to.
If they have long distance like brain souping devices, then I take everything back that I said, and I agree with whatever Congress says is happening, and I'll swear an oath on that. Immediately, if they've got long distance brain liquefying devices, then I'm a true patriot. I question nothing.
That's fair enough. Okay, so Lines, you seem dissatisfied with the alien topics and stuff. What was something
I'm loving it. It's great.
Okay, what did you want to start moving to another subject? Did you have something to bring up?
No, we can talk about aliens all day.
I don't want to talk about aliens all day.
Phone Homebrew AI podcast. It'd be great.
I don't think they. Never.
I don't know anymore, dude.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't help what I am. I try. I really do. I'm just not. Do you think so aliens are real? Should we let them in? Like, should we what's the...
I think there's no choice at that point. Like, if they're at your door, you better try to, like, negotiate with them, right? Is where you're at. Where you can't... Like, they just showed up, and you're just like, hey, get the fuck out of here. My dad's gonna beat up your dad, right? Like, I don't think that argument's gonna work with the aliens.
Should they... I mean, like, I guess if it's aliens, I assume that our economy's gonna change, but, like, I'd be pretty bothered if like aliens come and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that, and I'm like, that's my job, I do that, and they're like, yeah, but you're not very good at it, are you? And then I get replaced. I think I'd be pretty ass blasted on that one.
Well, there's
so like how would integration work?
There's theories that the integrations right now, you're seeing it with the AI. It's encroaching fastly, but eventually it's going to replace all of our technology. You know, it's kind of nonsense. I don't know. I don't.
Well,
it's hard, man.
Yeah, I think the difference is there's a lot less insecurity with AI. Like,
because it's from us.
Very like from us, it's very egoistic, and I have no issue like saying I'm an egoistic person. Most people are. Most people just can't admit it. There are some people that have like been able to surpass their ego, and like props to them. What a difficult task. But like for me, if like AI takes my job away, that's humanity. We've done something. But if like alien technology comes in, I'm gonna be like, fuck that. We don't need that shit. Fuck, we could have done that. Just give us another 100 years. Get out of here. I don't want it.
Isn't that kind of like an interesting thing to think about? Is like if it just suddenly came here now, right? Like we already have this new material that we might be inventing, which would, you know, we didn't even talk about like maglev traveling, which is another
or motors.
aspect. all sorts of things that just improve, and who knows what we can accomplish with the new technology. We're probably only a couple hundred years out from some sort of crazy faster than light travel. I fully believe this, for the record. Like, it doesn't matter if I am wrong about this, because we'll just talk about it in 100 years, or I'll be dead. So that's basically where we're at. But
either way,
I think more than likely we're going to invent some sort of travel, and it won't have mattered if we interacted with aliens to reverse engineer at that point. Do you get my point? What are you smirking at over there?
just someone
All right.
on the kick message.
Yeah, what did they say?
They said all three of these guys look like the same dude at different levels of fat.
That's good.
I like that.
Okay. Apparently I'm the large. Which one of you is the medium? That's what I want.
Yeah, which one would be the medium?
That's good.
I'm not the judge of that.
I wouldn't know. Shit. I was gonna say something that probably had no value to it, but I thought was amusing.
JFK, aliens, CIA,
No.
Antarctica.
Well, no. Okay, so like, if you think about it, like, there's people out there that are like, oh, Japanese car, I'm not gonna buy, or like American car, like a lot of Europeans are like, American vehicle, I'm not gonna buy no damn American vehicle. Those things are garbage. So like, if we already have that like attitude to some degree, I feel like it's gonna be like when they're like, here's the alien cure for cancer, it's gonna be like, fuck that, I'd rather die. You let me know when humans made a cure for cancer, I'll take that.
It's a trap.
like
It's a long-term con.
Am I just too like shameless to not have that in me? Is there something wrong with me or something? Because that guy makes no sense to me. Like, if he exists, how long does he exist?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. Well, it's in the interim, right? That's why I'm talking integration. Eventually, everything gets integrated, right? But like, it's a natural human response. It always has been, right? It's always been, humans respond that way. So I mean, that's even like in the United States, where like, if like Hillary Clinton like made faster than light travel, like half the people in the U.S. would say,
okay,
don't care,
you're bringing me to your side.
And if Donald Trump made like faster than light travel, or cured cancer, or like solved longevity, like he had a team of scientists under him, and he's like, I did it, people be like, that's bad.
Well, Joe Biden
That's
just
not
recently
good.
cured cancer, you know?
Yeah, like, and if he really does, everyone's gonna be like, well, he sucked at it. The cure sucks anyways. I bet if Trump made the cure
Doesn't
for
even
cancer, it would have
work.
been like
Doesn't even
way
work.
better. Like, so like, if you think about it from that perspective of how humans are, then yeah, like, if aliens come here and they give us technology, they're gonna they're gonna be like, no, fuck that, I don't want it.
I think you might be right. I think it's stupid, but I think you might be right that there's just this level of person that I don't interact with very much that would give up the cure because of who it's from. But
I think so.
yeah. There's also speaking of that, like the whole like cancer stuff, like the aliens curing cancer. We're probably not even gonna need. Like, I guess we don't need aliens. Is like the ultimate like thing I'm thinking about here. Assuming they're not the reason that we've advanced this much, we don't actually need them in any way, unless we want to have friends. But the point is, we're getting to the point where with the new level of vaccines, at the level we're editing these, whatever you think about the last one, that doesn't matter. The point is that we're reaching a new level of technology with vaccines where you take a sample of your cancer and we don't need aliens in this, friends. But unless basically you take a sample of your cancer and then we clone your cancer and mass test it with different forms of whatever vaccine to kill the cancer. And then that is how we kill your cancer. And this would be any cancer. It just requires a sample. And then your body will just produce the stuff that it needs to kill it. No chemotherapy. Just a vaccine. A personalized vaccine to you. So in theory, what you get is some sort of blood test in the future that grabs all the various diseases and pathogens in your body and creates vaccines against each one of them. And then you just take the vaccines. You get your autism and you get your cure. So that's what that's what you get. So again, we don't really need vaccines, or we don't need aliens to like come and help us with this technology. We're doing just fine. So this would also make sense that they're just observing us, because they're just like, oh, well, look, they're only a couple hundred years off of this or whatever. So who knows to what degree technology is that predictable for an alien race to see us.
Well, you have to consider, when we're talking about the rate of advancement in the last 100 years, you also have to consider that there's simply more people, there's more brains at a higher level of sustenance working on the same problem. So if you 10 times the amount of people on the planet, you're going to have all sorts of people thinking about different things at the same time.
There's a theory that our advancement is completely owed to our population growth. The only reason that we have advanced so far is because that we just have more brains, just what you said. So this is a real theory that like it's not like super widespread, but it kind of checks out as far as just you're just increasing the amount of human compute you have on the planet, so you scale is everything. You solve more problems.
Well, what's the odds are you're going to figure out a superconductor when you have 20,000 people on the planet? It's not as high. It's not as high. And this is what, like allegedly 6 people? Are we accounting for rotten brains? Says Evil Overlord. Are we?
For rotten brain. Oh yeah. Okay. So the amount of like trash compute. I don't know. Do people still have old cell phones?
Those using TikTok.
Or they still have old cell phones in the closet, right? So.
Ice cream, good. Ice cream.
Gang.
I see how much money they make, and I'm like, I'm not that proud.
I'm not.
You like ice cream, Johnny? You like ice cream, Johnny?
Ice cream, good. Gang. Ice cream, good. I'm not that proud. I'll do it.
No spicy?
If I put food on the table for my family, okay, I'm not that proud. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'd never do that. It's like, okay, but you go to a job you hate every day with coworkers you hate.
Look, I'll be honest.
Every day.
I'm too proud for
this. For a quarter of the money.
I'd rather be poor. I would rather be poor than sitting.
You haven't seen the paycheck.
Would you get UBI if you had to work 8 hours, 1 day a week, ice cream good?
I'd rather die, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit there and do that. Can we pick another activity for me? Can we make an exception?
No. In fact, if you deny it, it gets worse the second time.
I'm going to do like a Warhammer 40k servitor? What the hell is it called? Where they like lobotomize them because they don't have AI. What's it called? Give me a second.
Well,
I think it's
I'm glad next week's...
The difference there, by the way, Debugger, is that it's not that I'm dealing with people I hate every day to work, right, and make a living. It's that I hate myself now, and I don't want to hate myself that much. Like, I don't need any help with that, right? Like, it's just going to add more fuel to the fire if I'm... Ice cream, so good. Like, if I'm sitting there doing that all day for my paycheck, I'm going to kill myself.
8 hours today, honey. ice cream so good for 8 hours. I don't need to hear anything from you. You know, I'm busting my ass out there. Okay.
See, here's the problem, right? Like, what if like everything gets so automated that that's your only way to make extra cash, right? Like, you wanna.
Well, they do it just to fuck with you.
You
They give you like fake jobs like that. You have
How
to
do people
just
do
to
the
fuck
little
with you.
NPC? Like it started in the TikTok. They do like the weird movements where they're like, like how do they do it?
Like
It's so
that?
unnatural. It's inhuman. Does it look? Did that look right?
Maybe they're AIs.
Like,
Maybe this is just all
you ever seen the
gaslighting routine.
TikToks
Maybe
where
they
they're
don't
like
exist.
doing with like the music and they're like, and they do like the creepy sort of like stilted movements? I'm like,
All right. I
who
just
taught
thought
you
of
that?
I just thought of how I would do it. If I was going to do the ice cream so good thing, I would just create a sim, and it wouldn't be me, and it would just be some other thing. I would totally like do that, like create a little anime girl doing the fucking thing. That's probably possible for me to do right now. I'm competent enough. But
A little anime girl. I thought you said you were a proud person. It sounds
listen,
to me like you have
listen.
no
I'm
product
putting
at
the
all.
bait so that they give him the ice cream.
He's dead. He's seized to death. Ah! It's just me. What happened? They all died. It's just me. Okay.
Okay, that was interesting.
What'd you do?
I didn't do
Did you
anything.
did you seethe so hard that you just
Yes, I think Debugger just kicked us all off the thing. Evil Overlord,
Not me.
please do not do that again. Please. That confused the hell out of me.
Gotta live up to the name.
I think that there was a couple of seconds where the whole podcast was just significantly better.
He clicked focus on person. He likes you, Johnny. That's what we know about that. But the point I'm making is if you're gonna do the bait, right, you just get the little anime girl and she's sitting there doing the ice cream so good, and you make fun of this money printer. Come on, man! Like,
You don't
think
enable
about
the
it.
system.
So what
I
you're
won't do
saying
it myself.
is you wouldn't put your faith to it. You won't do it yourself because you're
No.
a coward.
Oh, I'm a
You're a
coward.
coward.
Absolutely, I agree.
You have
I'm
to
not-
avoid it on
I'm not doing
principle,
that.
or it's gonna be, or the new hustle culture is gonna have like 10 VR use saying ice cream so good just to make minimum wage. You don't give into that.
Come on, man! You got to make a living, right? Listen, I don't know how you deal with it. What? Okay, there's a gif of me now. Great, wonderful. But what was he just saying? My brain hurts. Or are we talking still? Oh, look, my shirt changed.
Shit. I was gonna say something.
Yeah, I think we've lost some brain cells with the ice cream
Thanks.
comments. I'm
Oh,
off
I
track.
was gonna
don't
make
remember
comments
what it
about
was.
that. So I think I know why those are so popular. I think that like low like ChatGPT 1-esque bots are out there right now in the algorithm, right? And I think that they're watching a lot of this stuff. And I think that's why this content, I think that we're now creating content for low-level AI. That's my philosophy. That's the only explanation, right? Because there's just something about the mechanical, like they're with the things, they're getting the rows, the little thing pops up. It knows that they're sending those emojis. They're referencing the emojis. They're saying everything is like algorithmically happening. Boom, 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 boom. And then the viewer count goes. Because I saw this one where the guy had like 80,000 views in this clip, and it immediately jumped to like 190,000 views within like 40 seconds. And it's like, okay, that's not possible. That's bullshit. There has to be some sort of botting or like algorithm, like YouTube deep
Like
state
fake?
algorithm shit. I don't know. There's something. I think we're right on the cusp, if we're not already there. Excuse me. Of human beings creating content, not for other human
Who the
beings.
fuck is this
but we're
psycho?
creating content for AI.
He said I look like a big ass Chris Pratt. I haven't heard that one. That's good.
That's almost a compliment, I would say.
I don't know, dude. Anyways, I'm getting roasted by this iCup guy. But the thing about it is, like, I think it's more than likely a. You get to make the person on the screen do things when you give them the banana. I think it might be that simple.
I think it's a combination of that, and it's got like that weird, like what is this element to it? It's a little bit of everything that like makes it like it's a little wrong in some ways. It's got a meme capability. I think it just hits on a bunch of things all at once, which makes it go to this level.
Well, it's also unsettling when they don't have the when they don't have any like bananas or whatever rolling in. They do this like idle animation. It's weird. Like both their hands are like, it's weird, dude. Like the whole fucking thing is weird. But I mean, there have been like people put up like just mirrors of stuff where like people are putting rubber bands around a milk carton for hours and eventually it explodes. But they make a bunch of money just doing that. Like it's just some weird thing where there's some weird guy stacking bolts, like makes really weird faces. Like it's just weird. Well, I think it's like nuts of the bolts, but everything about TikTok live streaming is how do we do this how do I get the weirdest amount of attention from doing the weirdest possible thing? And I think that is the ultimate reason why that stuff kind of took off. Was probably some e-girl was sitting there and realized that she started interacting with the bananas coming in. She got more attention, and then she had just the right amount of fucking weird in her to start saying whatever dumb shit, and then next thing you know, you're going
AI simps.
You're going viral.
That's it's algorithmic simps. That's what's happening here. It's the AI. The AI is witnessing it. And it's like, yeah, this is the content I want to see. Because there is like some weird stuff with like the YouTube algorithm. You put certain tags, you do certain stuff, and that's just in like the data. The YouTube, the videos are certain, the comments are a certain way.
God.
But now you got to think. Now it's getting like now, right? A lot of this stuff is able to get past captchas. It's able to view images. It's able to listen to audio. And so, like, if these algorithms and stuff,
AI is addicted to fucking NPC stuff on TikTok.
Skynet's like, gonna
how do you
that?
think? Okay, well, think. No. Listen, how do you think it is that you mention something in a YouTube video that's a no topic? Do you think that they don't have like an audio sensor that's like looking for certain stuff in their algorithm to get rid of? So if they're having the algorithm look for bad things to get rid of, it would also, therefore, the algorithm's based on looking for the right things as well, right? Just a theory, right? Just a theory. But why would they only have the algorithm intake audio for like you say, I think that this is fake and the government's, and then it's like error, you can't say that.
I think okay, so if I had to guess from like a developer's perspective what they're doing with that, they're not doing that with like low level stuff. So until you get to a certain point, then they run you through the Whisper program or whatever they use for transcription.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap to do. It costs me just for these when they're like around 3 hours. The credits for it is roughly anywhere from $1 to $3 to $4 a video. I have a bunch of credits because I'm a good boy, but don't worry about that. Anyways, it doesn't cost me much to run through all of the transcription. So for the most part, they're probably only doing it once you get past like 10,000 views or something, and then they censor you. Maybe it's 1 million or 100,000. You get the point. Or
you just hit the limit, you get flagged, and you never know, and you just stop getting your video shared. So you never break through because you weren't that.
Maybe.
That's what I blame all my success going forward in my life. I'm like, fucking algorithm, dude. Like I didn't get a job, or like I tripped and fell. I'm like, this fucking algorithm. I've been shadow banned. That's why I fell down the stairs this morning. God damn it.
You do make an interesting point, though, talking about like the low-level GPT stuff possibly being integrated with the algorithm, is that eventually you...
I do?
No. You shut up.
Okay,
anyways,
that's what I thought.
So the point is that you eventually, through the algorithm getting more integrated with AI, you're probably going to deal with a lot more steering of what becomes more popular as we go here.
Yay.
So that could go in the bad direction, like you're kind of talking about.
Which it inevitably will. As it always has in every example thus far.
I need more Grimace Shake content now. I need it. I need Grimace Shake content.
Is that still going on? I haven't got one yet.
No, I don't think it is.
Damn it, I missed it. I'm so
You won't
sad.
buy it anymore?
He's
I don't
looking
think you
it up.
can even buy it
I
anymore.
appreciate John.
I'm looking something up. I need more Jimmy Fallon content in my YouTube right now. I just love it. I love being like, we think you're gonna like this, and it's got like 10,000 views, and it's just a clip of Jimmy Fallon. Like a lot of people, they like this. Everyone's liking this. I'm like, no, I don't think anyone likes.
How do you
I don't
even
think
know the
anyone
view
wants
counter is real? You want to talk about heaven banning, where they create a total fake internet for you? So the views
that
aren't
what's
real, the
happened to me?
video's not real, the comments aren't real, the users aren't real. You're the only one that sees it. It's completely fake. You try to
Are you
you
guys
send it to
real?
you send it to your friend, they reply, but it knows that you sent it to them. That's a fake reply. Your friend never receives a message. It's all fake. And you
I've
have
met
no
my
clue.
girlfriend, so she's real. I haven't met either of you, so unless she's like working for the feds,
Oh, I'm real,
and it's like a
trust me.
long con. I don't know. Not after all that.
They're always part of the
I don't
feds.
trust you at all.
If they're what you want, they're a fed. That's all I'm saying. So I'm sorry, Johnny, you're screwed.
I'm a fed. She's a fed. We're all feds, yeah. Well, I'm glad we brought
Yeah.
you back around to the feds. You know,
Yes.
that makes me happy.
Our favorite. I appreciate them. Look, I wouldn't
Speaking-
have anyone to talk to
speaking of
if
feds-
not for the feds. Okay, that's the point here.
Speaking of feds, you find out the Grimace update?
I don't think they're making any more I don't even know if it's out.
We're waiting
Sorry, I
with
was looking. I
bated
couldn't remember
breath.
Jimmy Fallon's name.
I'm gonna order one right now.
Discontinued July 9th. It's over, guys. Sorry.
God damn it, we missed it.
Good.
It's over.
by damn near
Yeah, and
20 days.
I don't. That's not a natural color. It's not a natural color.
Purple.
You ever seen a grape?
Nope.
Why'd you say it like that?
Nope.
That color of okay. How do they make it purple? No. What is used to color it?
Grimace.
Okay, these are just it's berry flavored.
Why the fuck are we talking about what color's the Grimace shake?
Because ice cream's so good. Yeah.
I can't see. I can't find anything on what they used to make that color. It's probably red dye, purple dye 70.
Do you think the Grimace shake is naturally colored?
Yeah, dude.
No, it's definitely not.
Why are we
Probably like
talking about
crushed
Grimace
up
shake?
beetles or something.
I just want an ingredients list. I don't want to look at these articles. I just holy shit. I hate the internet so much
Okay.
in its current
Oh,
state.
is that what it's colored with? That girl right there? Just dip her hair in there. It's like
All I'm finding is like mom how to Grimace shake at home like articles instead of like an actual list of the ingredients, and it's just like really.
why would you make it
You
at
think they're
home?
gonna tell you?
You can just go buy it. Mom, can I get Grimace shake?
We have Grimace shake
We
at
got
home.
Grimace shake at home.
We have Grimace shake at home. Oh my
Unbelievable.
god.
I've
So,
lost
anyways,
the
yeah,
plot
they
at this
probably
point.
put poison in it. I don't need Xanax. Trust me, that's not gonna solve the problems I have. Give me a couple K pins just to settle everything out, and we'll be good. But yeah, I'm not. I think like people are like, do I take the vaccine? Do I don't take the vaccine? Like that was like a really big. To me, way more important is like the people that are drinking the Grimace shake. No, that's the real divide for me. Like, did you go out and buy the Grimace shake? You're not allowed. You're not allowed near me. You're not. You've got some sort of like thing inside
How do you know
now.
if they drank it though? How do you know? Do you see the purple on their lips?
I can tell. I can. It's an instinctual. It's I can sense
Is it a feeling? It's a feeling?
Yeah.
The Grimace
It's like
shake is a vibe.
it's like when he puts the glasses on and he sees that they're all aliens. That's me, but I don't need the glasses. I just know that they've had Grimace shake.
Okay, so is this going to be like the pure blood argument with the Grimace Shake now? Like, did you or did you not ingest a Grimace Shake? I can't talk to you.
Did you or did you not? Oh my God, it's over. My wife drank the Grimace Shake.
Did you have a second Grimace Shake?
There's only one.
Oh.
There's only one Grimace Shake. The second Grimace Shake. There's no second one. That's a conspiracy.
How long till AI is just like coming up with shitty shakes and campaigns? Like, do you think that's one of them? Is that a test pilot?
Generative AI, but
here's
for
all
food?
here's all the background characters of McDonald's. How do we bring back, you know?
Oh my God! You need like Klonopin milkshakes and shit.
Whoa. Okay. You know what? Maybe AI's. I'm for it. K-Pen milkshakes. All right. That reminds me of the SpongeBob episode where the Plankton comes up with the logo "Chum is Fum," and everyone's like, "Oh, I gotta eat at the Chum bucket now," and they all start eating at the Chum bucket.
Get this the fuck out of here!
I'm glad I didn't see whatever that was.
I'm just it's already there, so at least it's a man. You know, at least if we assume it's a man. That movie was awful. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Dodgeball, but
Was that from Dodgeball? I thought that was. I thought that was the big Scottish guy from.
No, unless I saw wrong just now. That is the the ending.
I don't like that. I like this less. This is
You can delete
this makes me more uncomfortable.
It's a bunny. You don't like it? It's a cute little bunny doing a dance. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm the weird guy. Okay. That's me. I'm the weirdo. All right.
Listen, all I'm saying. No, the ending to the Dodgeball movie, the guy that they beat, who's on the other side, I think it's Ben Stiller. He's all depressed and he gets like fat on a couch and he's got big tits and he's like dancing at the end. It's just a fucking stupid fucking movie.
Yeah, what scene is that? For a friend?
It's the last scene of the Dodgeball movie. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Go watch it. It's stupid. It's a dumb movie.
I liked it. I think it's been so long. That's like the problem. Is like when you're a kid, sometimes you just like you watch stuff and it's just horrible, and you don't realize it's terrible, and then you watch it as an adult and you're like, I liked this. Oh my
like
God,
Flubber?
this is terrible. Okay, whoa. That's.
Oh yeah, he's dead. All right, we'll move on.
Flubber is a classic. How dare you? It's sickening. I think that's. What's the next topic?
I've lost the plot, dude. You like I don't even want to go to my notes.
We can talk about like.
Please, I'm begging you.
What you got in your notes? I'm actually curious.
I'm not showing you my notes. They're for me.
Just tell me your notes. I don't want to see them.
Johnny talks about Grimace Shake for the 30th time and how it's a.
If he planned it.
Every week you talk about the Grimace Shake. How many did you drink? Like, be honest with me. You're the only one who leaves your house.
I have not eaten at McDonald's since 2019.
He's trying to cope.
I'm not coping. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's why you're asking, like, what's in it, searching so hard. You're trying to get that hit back. You're trying to figure out how to make the fucking Grimace Shake now that they don't sell it.
Yeah. It's like sweat. Profuse sweat. Like, I don't even need one. I don't even need another Grimace Shake.
There you go, Johnny, right there.
Please, I'm in rehab. I'm in Grimace Shake rehab.
Dude, stop making that face. It's not okay.
This one? It's my favorite face to make. What did you call it? Lines? You said it was the
purple nut shake. What?
No, this face right here, the one that's like this.
Stop!
That looks like a fucking testicle. Are you kidding me?
No.
What is this?
I've lost all control. For the record, we can move on to something if you do want to talk about it. But
I would love to.
We're now in the position where I don't know if anyone's heard the new V2 model of 11 Labs, but we're pretty much
I have, yes.
we're pretty much in a state where if you have family, especially if they're older, you need to establish some sort of code word between you and your family members to make sure that they know it's you talking on the phone in a circumstance where you're trying to ask them for money or something to this effect. Because the 11 Labs update, it's not out to everyone. I'm sure they're working on releasing it, but it's still even in beta, but it can emote extremely well. It's a genuinely insane thing to listen to. Like, I've got a guy who's got the beta who shows me stuff on it. And he, part of like one of the businesses that he's working with, or working towards, is AI for protection of people who are effectively boomers, right? They need some sort of AI that helps them perceive whether or not this is a real person on the other end of the line. Because it's getting to the point where vocally you will not be able to tell the difference between that thing that's playing in your ear and a real person. It is so close to real that it's not even in the uncanny part anymore. Like
the little details, it can whisper.
Yeah, it can whisper. It can emote in different ways. Honestly, it's one of those things where I'm not sure how like any audio related profession, especially like an audible like book reader, like an audio book reader, I don't know how they continue to work. Because I just get along. Honestly, you might even get people that just sell their own voice because their voice is perfect for reading something, right? And then all I got to do as a programmer on the back end is set up all the scripts to match the emotions that these moments are supposed to have within the book. The audiobook is instantly spit out. I don't have to pay you per hour. I pay you for your voice. And that's a weird, strange aspect. We already have that with, what's it, James Earl Jones. He sold his voice, right? So that like has already happened. So there's audiobook readers like R.C. Bray and quite a few other ones that are really popular. I could picture there's going to be tons of people that want them to read their book, and it's not that big of a deal. I'm using AI to clone Joby's voice. Is that what you're saying? Really, debugger?
I'm going to have it tell me it loves me every night. I'm going to have Joey's voice just whisper sweet little nothings to me.
I don't like
Gonna
this.
make some alarm sounds. Wake up, Johnny. Wake up.
I don't like this.
Gang, ice cream soda.
Oh no, you could just take a picture of me and then make me do it, and I have no choice.
Photos of you already.
Oh no, dude, we're already there. Dude, there's enough video of me and all of us to be doing gang forever.
The models are so advanced now, like for a V2 of 11 Labs, you need like one sentence. You need like one sentence is all you need for like the training data. That's it. Same for images.
Yeah, I call you, and I get your voice, and then I call your dad.
You just call someone, and they pick up and say, yeah, hi, who's this? And that's it. You can just call them from that.
You know what this reminds me of a lot is so the Japanese, when they answer the phone, they go, moshi moshi. And obviously someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say the Japanese lore behind that is that the demon fox spirit can't make one of those sounds, and so like it's to make sure that the
that's kind of cool. Actually,
I swear to God,
I like that.
Yeah, so let me make sure that's correct because I heard this from a Japanese teacher.
You don't want fake information on this podcast.
Yeah, we couldn't have any of that. That would be bad. But my general point is like literal public service announcement. Get some sort of I'm not going to say the other word, but like get a code word with your family. You need something because it's bad. It's really bad. And the cloning of...
I'm not thinking that what I said was true. Wait.
I don't see anything mentioning foxes. I see it means the verb to say.
Okay, wait. There is an easy way to make sure the other person on the end of the line is the real deal. Foxes, it's believed, can't say moshi moshi. And ghosts, who can be similar and nefarious, can't say moshi twice. Thus, you can protect yourself from accidentally, say, marrying a fox or letting a ghoul get away with your favorite soul. All you have to do is say moshi moshi.
Okay,
So
what
there
about
is
AGI?
supernatural... What?
So what do we do in the West here? I've been saying moshi moshi this entire time.
The point was...
Am I screwed?
The point is like, now instead of making sure little ghouls and goblins don't get our soul on the phone, now we have to come up with something to make sure AI doesn't get our bank account information over the phone.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, there was a case like with like really crappy voice synthesis tech where somebody, this was like 2 years ago, they got something on the order of like 20-40 million, I don't remember, something like that. It was a company to company transfer. They tricked them into throwing it into an account.
It's like the Ventrilo when the guy, I've got balls of steel. You remember that? The guy goes in the Vent Surfer and he takes the clips of Duke Nukem. The person
Imagine he can
freaks
do
out.
that now. He can just say whatever he wants now. He doesn't have to edit their voice. He can just type it.
That's another good point. Dude, we need to like Ventrilo harassment 3.0. We need to do that. But that's going to be fun. But it's Discord harassment now. Does anyone use Ventrilo anymore? Does that exist? There's probably an exe on someone's... There's probably an exe on someone's hard drive, you know?
Yeah, the dude's like 47.
You think he's still trolling people with it?
That guy? I don't know. You can donate a video compiler, I guess. I doubt he's still doing it.
I need you to give me your bank account information. Oh, okay.
Your credit card and the 3 digits on the back.
It's difficult, like, you know, for some reason the elderly seem to be very, very susceptible to all forms of scamming.
Yes, they grew up where everything was high trust. Leave your car unlocked, leave your house unlocked. If someone's calling you saying, hey, I'm your nephew, they're going to go, oh, you're my nephew?
Well, it even sadder, right? You have all these older people who they don't talk to their nieces and nephews or whatever, right?
They don't know what they sound like.
Even their own kids, they don't know what they sound like. It's enough of what they sound like. You could be tricked. It's a sad...
Hearing damage.
See, the Japanese, they were already answering the phone being like, let me make sure this guy's not a fox spirit real quick. Let me just double check.
They're ahead again. They're already ahead.
I talked about a few weeks ago that most of the Nigerian scams, the scripts for them were written in the United States, and it's because it is a filter. If you're gullible enough to believe this shitty English of this Nigerian prince, right, I can fuck you over. And so a lot of the scammers were here in the United States.
Saves them time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've started like pretending. So when I get like the robot calls, I'll get those and I'll start pretending because I want to get to an actual person at some point, a live person, so I can fuck with them. And so they'll be like, clearly it's a robot. I'll be like, hello, I'm sorry, what? I can't hear you very well, and I just act really stupid because I know that there's a recording of that, and they're gonna be like, I can get this guy, and then on like a free day, I can just waste like 8 hours of this guy's time shooting the shit. I'm a little lonely.
Psycho.
Unrelated.
You spend 8 hours talking to phone scammers? How many times have you done this? Is this like a thing we need to be concerned about?
I haven't done it yet, but I'll do accents as well. Whatever accent they're doing, I'll just completely... Okay, so when other people get phone calls, I'll do the accent back to them. Doesn't matter where it's from. Like, it could be from another country. It could be from Canada. It could be like an English accent. I did have one scam call that was clearly someone with an English accent, and my English accent's not good at all, and they immediately knew I was messing with them. They like immediately were like, they just got mad and hung up.
Okay, so yeah, that's...
You know who I would trust? It's like a Texan accent, like a redneck. I don't believe a redneck is out here even like, yeah, you got your car warranty.
No, I've heard it.
Man,
I've heard it.
I'm like,
heard
no, I
it.
believe you.
There is
I
an
trust in
ancient.
you.
There is an ancient recording of a guy who knows when he got like contracted to do this phone scam, but I still get it to this day, and I have no idea why. But it's just it's an old like Southern guy, and he goes, "Hello," and then you go, "Hi," and then he goes, "Hey, is Princess there?" And you're like, "No, what?" Like, so the first time you get it, you're like confused, right? And then it's like, "Oh,
That's how they
well,
get you.
Princess,
how they
Princess
get you
isn't there." And then they go, "Well, okay. Well, I'm with the local, police department," and then they're like talking about like, "Would you like to
They
donate
get you
for
with the
this?"
roller
And, yeah.
coaster.
And it's
I've gotten that one. But
You-
it's the funny thing about that one is anytime you make noise, it cuts. So like if you
oh
just
yeah,
go,
you can get it to loop.
Yes.
it'll go well it's very fun. What were you gonna say? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I've
So I
I've
have gotten
experienced
that one. But they didn't ask for Princess for me. That's just a you thing. I don't know what that's about. You're not doing some weird shit there.
I'm pretty.
Yeah, is Princess there for you? Like,
No, I don't know why. It's been a decade.
Yeah, me either.
And I get it every like
this
year.
reminds me of the time where my sister and my cousin, they both called my uncle on the phone and left a voicemail pretending they were like 14, I think, at the time, and they left a voicemail pretending to be like some sort of like lady of the night, whatever. Like, oh, and we really liked you over at the such and such, and it was like, but they made sure to list an actual sort of like strip club name that
Right.
they had looked up, and they left a voicemail. And then and then they and then they got his phone and they played it in front of everyone. And I think he had a girlfriend at the time.
Psychos.
And it's like, and
Let's
they did
ruin
like
an
the
entire family.
Southern Belle. Oh no, don't worry.
It's just a
he's
prank.
terrible anyways. Well, they told immediately afterwards that yeah, we did that. That was us. And like the rest of the family knew as well. So it was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. His face was like red. He's like, I don't know what this is. But that's yeah, easy to like. There's gonna be a lot of gaslighting, I think, that comes out of this the AI voice stuff, like a ton.
Oh, it's already bad. Because I've gotten robocalls and you answer it, and it's a dude. It's a Southern dude talking, and then you're like, okay, like, you ask a question, right? And then turns out it's pre-recorded. So they got someone that doesn't sound like that sitting over there with a bunch of responses that they hit on the soundboard is what they're doing. But now, not only can they go past that and type whatever they want, eventually they'll be automated. And the voice will be real, but the people won't. It'll just be some robot that knows how to like toy with you.
An uncensored API.
And can do 1 million calls a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They already, with current technology, I think they roll out like 1 billion calls every morning. It's something crazy like that. It's all over parts of Europe get it, and mostly America is like the main target. And then obviously it does the filtering down, and they get their few scams a day. Those are very like lucrative businesses too. They all pretend to be
What's
some
the
sort of...
closest you guys have gotten to being scammed? What's the closest you've gotten to being scammed? I hear like, oh, okay, never mind.
When I was 18,
Almost once.
Joby?
When I was 18, I was like doing like some sort of job thing. I can't remember what it was, but like it was just one of those ones where they try and their whole thing is to get you to send them information, and then they try to...
They start with small concessions.
Yes, they try to reverse engineer, and then they can get like your social and stuff like that. I figured it out when they asked for like one specific thing, and then I was like, I want to Google this and figure it. And then sure enough, it was a scam. It was one of those like you're applying for a bunch of jobs, you're getting stuff back. That's the sad thing is like
right.
It targets people who are like trying to get like their life together. Like they've got a bunch of job applications they're waiting for stuff back on, and then they hit you, and you're like, ooh, this one sounds good, this one pays well, this, so you start filling out things and trying to help, or like help it along and get yourself in somewhere, and they screw you. So these people are definitely sociopaths. But I think part of that is because they're doing it to people in a completely different country as well. So you're so far removed from it that you can justify it. What was your example?
It's just phishing. Oh, mine was, they called super early, like 4 or 5. And they did a good job with it because it actually sounded like, I believe it was my internet. And they got the right company. I've had ones with the wrong company. They got the right company. And they were talking and they asked, is this blah, blah. And I was like, who is this? And I tell my name and then they ask, where do you live? And I'm like, what are you asking me this? You calling me? You're calling me? You should have this information. You have my phone number. Like, no. Then what got me with that was one of the soundboard calls. So I asked a question, and it was the same line they just said, and the exact same cadence. And I said, hey, if you're a real person, what's 2 + 2? And then, haha, well, like, okay, like, fraud. But yeah, it's what's fascinating about the robot ones with the pre-recorded voices is on some of them, if you ask them, they will say that it's a pre-recorded voice. They have a button for that. They'll tell you it's not a real person. They'll tell you that it's just like a stand-in. They'll tell you it. I don't know why, but they'll straight up tell you that, like, for whatever reason, quality assurance, they'll tell you it's a fake voice.
Yeah, we're definitely in danger with the GPT in general with stuff like this. Where I don't know how many of you have like heard about the romance scams that keep happening, but there are tons of them. I've met people who like kind of knew people that this happened to, but like
anywhere there's a weakness or a desire that's not fulfilled, jobs, relationships, money.
Well, it's the same thing as
my mom was an AI scam. Last 26 years were a lie.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
God.
You've got all these like people who used to like catfish people for various reasons, right? But now like they're doing that with more powerful tools. They're generating
way more convincing now.
They're generating like live, even some. I mean, you gotta be pretty gullible to fall for the live video stuff now. But at the very least, you can use ControlNet and create your own characters and create different poses, different dresses.
It can be the same face and same body, but it can be different poses, different scenes.
Yes. So basically, over time, you gather more and more material, and you scam the person. And not everyone will go on like a call. You got a lot of lonely men in America, so that they're getting just a voice clip, and you're tricked, right? And you only send a little here and a little there, and eventually they're asking you for money for various reasons, and you're screwed, like legitimately. And there have been people that have lost on the order of millions over this stuff, and that guy's an idiot with money. It's sad, right? But like, there's going to have to be. This would be the only reason I worry about like certain levels of regulation with AI, but I also don't think they're going to do anything about it, because why haven't we regulated all the other phone scam shit, right? Like the governments don't seem to be even like...
Maybe we lack the institutional power to even like ban against stuff like that anymore.
That's exactly where my mind is. Like, why aren't you, like, we know exactly when all the calls come in. It's the same time every morning that they start, well, in the morning in India that they start sending these calls out. Why isn't that blocked? Why is there no mechanism to turn the fucking line off for a bit and just let the authorities know about it? You'd think there would be some way, because I guess on a phone line sense, that's like a DDoS attack effectively, where they throw out so many within an hour. It's billions of calls. You'll generally get them around certain scheduled times throughout your day. And that's why it's more in the afternoon for some people. It's a strange thing. And I don't know if they're going to be able to regulate any of this as it goes forward. And the only way, Johnny, you good over there?
I'm good. Sorry, I was reading something.
Okay. You breathing out.
I will. I can. Oh, do I breathe very heavily?
Yeah, you're breathing into my ear like I'm jogging. It's weird.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
But
I thought it was hot. But,
okay. No, you're good, dude.
Just thinking about Grimace.
Distracted.
In Germany, we never get bot calls. Woo! Look at you on your high horse. Oh, I'm angry.
At least till AI can just do every language.
you're better
They're
than
probably
me?
just starting English.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
if
sure
that's true in Germany, it's either a thing where they're not targeting Germany because they're less gullible or something to that effect, and plus there's like more people
They're
in
less
America.
amazing and awesome like me, American.
But
That's what it is.
It's also possible that it's more difficult to do this in the German dialect.
It might be completely different phone system as well.
Well, I don't think bot calling is legal anywhere, from what I understand. I don't know. Is it legal? What's the laws on? They probably don't even have real good laws on it yet.
Well, how do you prosecute another country's citizens, right? Like, it's not a thing. I mean,
Well, you if you have institutional power, you make like threats of like subtle like threats towards like tariffs or taxes towards the country, and then the country's government goes after the people.
yeah, that would work. I mean, we've discussed before
Yeah.
about like certain things SolidWorks may or may not be doing with fines on people in India.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we talked about that. I think like three or four podcasts ago.
Yeah, but so I think you could you can probably do something, but they're not really doing anything. So the ultimate thing here is
I
that
think this is
AI is always the best weapon and the best defender as it gets more advanced. It's the same as like the computers are the best weapon because you can just mass send out shit.
we have to stop just giving. I think really what it comes down to is we're just going to have to stop giving out information over the phone, online, through text, etc. So, like, in my opinion, like the whole Facebook. Oh, what's your phone number? What's your email address? What's your password? Like that shit is gonna just get nixed. I think like the amount of stuff that we share with like social media sites and logging up and giving our credit card information and stuff like that. I think that a lot of that shit's gonna have to get nixed because these like websites. Because okay, I want to make a website where I sell my product, right? Do you think that like me as like an individual making a website on GoDaddy, I'm gonna have the security necessary in 10 years to have some sort of like payment whatever through? Because even if I use like a third party payment software, which
You
a lot
don't
of
know what
people
they're-
do, like that it doesn't matter because the payment software still has to go through my website, right? And so the information I put in can probably still be scraped from the website in the instance you don't think so?
No, it doesn't work like that on a. It's their wrapper that comes into your website. So like with something like Stripe, that information, nothing on the website itself has any of that. There are cases where it probably happens, but like your ass is going to jail if you're scraping that. So like maybe it's happening, but
He says it's possible. Evil Overlord says it's feasible.
Listen, it's probably possible, but I highly doubt that in most cases, especially if you're using things like Stripe or a few other things like that, the website owner has no access to this information. They are a third-party provider. Yes, he does. Okay.
I don't know how it works. I'm just saying I can't imagine a scenario where we're continuing to give this amount of information out to like
okay. I see what you're saying.
Redbubble. Like I'm not gonna go like in 5 years. I can't imagine I'm like, here's my social security, Facebook, and here's this, and I live at this address, and here's what I sound like, and I just can't imagine. I mean, we're kind of already screwed, but I think like going forward, we're going to try to limit that because it's just too much and I think we're going to try to limit a lot of like interactions of giving people, oh, it's encrypted, oh, these text messages, don't worry, only the company's looking into them, like bullshit. So like over the phone, like telling someone your PIN or anything like that. Because I mean, really, it's harkening back to the '80s where they had phone freakers, if you even know what those are.
I mean, I think like your data is more worth it to the big tech company than your individual bank account. And I guess there's like vulnerabilities with what he's talking about. Does make sense. Like you can capture keyboard events on the website, but generally speaking, if you're doing basically the security of it is going to be more based on you're just signing in with your email or something to that effect, and then your email is able to handle these transactions without you entering anything. So
right.
that is a level
So
of
then,
like security.
would audio also then be able to be? So let's say you're using like a Facebook or like a what is it, FaceTime, Face Messenger? What's it called that Apple uses? FaceTime. So you're on the FaceTime, right? How hard would it then? I'm having a conversation, and I'm like, "Hey, mom, what's the pin and the number to your card? I'm trying to make a purchase." How hard would that be? Because it's not a telephone line, right? They're not getting into. They're getting into like a. They're just taking the audio files at that point, and then they're like, "I've got it." And at that point, if you have AI that can disseminate that information for you, you don't even need to be listening in. So that's why I'm not saying like there's not going to be fixes to this. I'm going to be saying there's a period of time in which everyone should just stop sharing important shit, because everyone's going to have access to this technology, right? And big
Okay, yeah, I do get what you
corporations
mean.
and government are going to be the last to understand how to utilize it correctly. But nefarious motherfuckers are the first to know how to utilize something correctly. They always get stamped out. History tells us anything. But the first people who are really like cracking the code, figuring out how can I put this in this and how can I do that with that, like what happened first? Did cybercrime occur first, or did the laws behind it occur first? Cybercrime occurred first, and so I think it's the same for all things. There's going to be people who probably get fucked over no matter what, but it's kind of just important to sort of have people protect their data a little bit more.
So his point about like you talking to your FaceTime, your mom, and you say something over it, right? That's sensitive. If it's properly designed, you're not going to have that vulnerability, even if you have apps that can interact with stuff like that. You would have to give it like explicit permissions, maybe, but there's other possibilities where people break into your Alexa and listen to you on your phone saying something like that, right? So that's kind of an example.
I have examples of this. A lot of it's becoming much less common now, especially now that people use Alexas and stuff. But I remember a lot of internet, so a lot of home surveillance systems, some of them are on the internet by default. So,
Don't say the magic word. This man's being spied on. Don't do it.
It'll make me die. Not in public, okay? So, what I'm trying to say, a lot of like home security systems, like cheaper ones, when you hook them to your Wi-Fi, you can get into those. They're not passworded, or sometimes they're like admin is the password. So you can crawl the internet and get a list of like 30,000 IPs, and you can just open an IP and see right into someone's house. And they don't know you're looking because they don't know it's on the internet.
Are you talking about the webcam stuff, or like there's whole sites?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot of like home security systems, the cheaper ones, you can hook them up to your router and view them from your phone. But when you do that, sometimes they don't put a password on them because they don't change the default, right? And you can find them if you browse for like ports and IPs on the internet. You can view them. You can just view in people's houses, and some of them you can hear audio. And you can watch someone for like 3 months, and they would never know you're watching them, because all they didn't know is they set it up to like look at their phone when they're at home, when they're at work.
It's like when you're playing a video game and the person has their mic open and you just hear their parents.
Yes.
Beating the shit out of them
in the background.
Yes.
There's a dog, and they're like, "I told you what!" And you're like, "Hey, buddy, can you turn your mic off? I don't need to hear all the domestic abuse."
There was some issues with systems like that. Some schools, colleges were using them. Some of them have the capability to speak from the internet through the device. So there's videos of people like trolling people in like other countries, like making ghost sounds and stuff for like weeks. So it's
I mean, one
I
of the
knew
ones
I
that I
wasn't
saw,
crazy.
one of the ones that I saw that was really bad was someone was hacking into this like family with a kid, like their alarm system, somehow, and they were
yes,
just
it's
setting it
those.
off. Yes, they were
It's
doing stuff like
those.
that. Where it's setting the alarm system off, scaring the shit out of the kid. Like, granted, like you shouldn't have
That's
that
terrible.
vulnerability set up, but you're goddamn like someone should actually stomp you. It's like that. If you have the ability to do that, I don't care what age you are, and you think it's funny, like we don't want you. That's how I feel.
Why do this to random people? Are not your enemy, okay? If
Yeah.
you're like if you there's not a single person I've ever met who's like maybe on the more morally gray side who does not have some issue with power or those in power or power structures. Go after
That's a good
them.
point.
Go to the pharmaceutical CEO and hack his shit. Don't harass some 9 to 5 guy
This
and his
podcast does
family.
not support corporate espionage. It
No,
does not support
you
targeted
shouldn't do
harassment.
anything. You should not target and harass anyone at all, right? But if you are because you think that I'm doing some sort of, if you're just doing it for shits and giggles, then you're a loser, right? I can at least empathize with people who are think that they're some sort of rogue, right? So modern day rogue. But if you're a modern day rogue, you should be actually, there are bad people out there. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. There are bad people out there who have a lot of power who do bad things. The Joe Schmo and his like 8-year-old kid making ghost noises, you're not accomplishing anything. You're going to get the same level of humor. And think about this. No, not many articles are going to be written about that. But if you convince CEO of a fictitious company that there's ghosts in his house, that's going to be way funnier. Okay, you give that man a mental breakdown. That would be
There
much
was
funnier.
a famous cybersecurity guy. I forgot the guy's name. He's pretty interesting, but he the biggest, like the thing that like kind of made him big as far as I know is like he did what you're talking about, where he went and he took down like a whole pedophile like ring website where they were posting like tons of child porn, and he like he went through all sorts of mental trouble because he's seeing the content as he's like gathering all the information he can on all these people.
Right.
He's hacking into all the systems in the back end, and he took the entire thing down. But like that, like if you're gonna be doing hacker shit, like at least be a white hat is the main point here, is what I'd say.
Well, because really, at the end of the day, like a lot of people don't realize that you get the same endorphins like being a good guy that you do as being a bad guy. Because you still like, if you're like, I want to mess with people, you still get to mess with people, right? You still get to mess with people. You still get to technically ruin their lives, right? Like these people that are like pedophiles and these like internet whatever, you're still ruining their life. You're still causing them a lot of stress. You know what I mean? You're still like a lot of them when they get found out, they're probably gonna,
Well,
so you're still
you're describing the sheepdog and the wolves. Like you still get the
yeah.
excitement of killing the wolf. You get to kill it.
Yeah,
But
you
it's
still
for the
get the
herd.
chase. You still get the
Mhm.
hunt.
Yeah, it's like
And you also get everyone going, wow, this guy's really, you get the back pats. You're not going to
who's
get
a
any
good
back
boy?
pats. You're not going to get any,
Who's a good
you're going
dog?
to be like, oh, that's me.
That's a lot of
Yeah, you're going to
kills.
get the back pats. You get your lulls and you get your back pats all at the same time. That's ideal.
The ideal combo.
See, okay, the mentioning of anarchy is always really frustrating for me because, like, the idea of anarchy is a theoretical. It's like anyone who describes themselves as any sort of anarchist to me, like, doesn't have any like actual fundamental understanding of political science. Usually, when they say that they're an anarchist, either A, they're misunderstanding what anarchy is, or B, they're like a limited government or they don't like the current government. But like anarchy is a hypothetical scenario used to as a balance between other governmental scenarios, right? It's not something that anyone's like this is a thing. It doesn't exist. It's not feasible. It's I don't know what other scenario could be, but anarchy is a state of absolutely no hierarchical structures, no structures whatsoever, right? That is pure anarchy, right? And so
Yeah.
that's only used as a sort of like jumping off point for, okay, so this one has more or less, or what
It's
would a
a
state like
conceptual
that look
reference
like?
point.
Yeah, it's a conceptual reference point. So when people, I'm an anarchist,
There's
doesn't
an
fucking mean
ancient
anything.
there's an ancient bit from the old skit show. It was called The Whitest Kid You Know. It was a funny show, right? And there's a
Oh, I remember this.
there's a skit where basically it's like a bunch of anarchists like, yeah, we're taking out the government and all this stuff. And then there's this guy in like a lab coat who's like, all right, I think he was in a lab coat, whatever. But the point is he goes, well, I work for the nuclear facility, and if that place melts down, we're all screwed. So like, I need to be there, and you guys need to like feed me. And he's like going through all this like stuff of like, like you need me there, you need to feed me, you need to make sure my family's okay. Otherwise, if that goes down, we're all dead. It's just like you can't have a system of anarchy because you need systems in place to manage like the various infrastructures we've built. You can't just have this like loose libertarian state that's all just some sort of everything's voluntarism, because if everything's voluntarism and there's no sort of government funding over certain things in a good sense, right? You have collapses. You have the part of anarchy you don't want.
And the problem is people like, well, look at like native tribes. They're anarchists. I'm like, no, they're fucking not. No, they're not. People have roles. There's a hierarchical structure there. The Neanderthals, the proto-humans, they all had structures to their societies. If we have an anarcho-capitalistic ideal world, we're trading a currency that's agreed upon. That's a structure. We've created that. That's a socially agreed upon structure right there. It have to be dogs. Dogs are not anarchists. Dogs have packs. They exist within social structures. It's nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. These people, they don't know what they're talking about.
I think you make a good point as far as like there's just no there's no
basis for it.
Yeah, it's pure idealism because there's no example we can go to where there's not some form of currency traded in some way. And then the thing you're talking about is like the currency is like social capital mainly. If you're in like the hunter-gatherer state of things, like your currency is your reputation, things like this. How many boars you caught, right? Like, or whatever traditions you can think of. So, I mean, scalping.
And but there's a difference between like, and that's the thing, like anarchy, right? It's like people always think of it in terms of government, right? They always think, oh, government, it's about getting rid of government. But anarchy it's not about government, it's about structures, right? It's about hierarchical structures. Government being the most advanced one we've ever created. I think we can all agree that government is the most complex and advanced hierarchical structure that human beings have ever divined.
That might be the Google's code base, to be honest.
Okay, that's fair. But it's
2 billion lines.
All creatures, all living things, there is either encoded in their DNA or encoded in their very, very like there's the birds that make the nests with all the blue, and then the females like, this one's got more blue in it. Like those are structures in place. They might not recognize those as structures, but that's not anarchy. Everyone's singing and dancing to the same tune. It's not a feasible.
We just lose
like
Johnny.
Anarchy got him.
Anarchy got him. Okay, you're gonna have to. He's dead. We lost him.
Sorry about that.
Someone take out the tree nearby that holds the satellite. You're gonna have to repeat yourself.
Yeah, that's what's going on. What was the last thing I said?
I don't even know anymore. You were just anarchy this, anarchy that. Like I kind of spaced out.
Well, okay, so I think it's okay to say that like I tend towards more anarchic ideas, which would mean that I like less structures, but a state of no structures is not feasible. So that's my take.
That's fair.
That's my take. Sorry, anarchists. I'm sorry, but you're dumb.
You're offending them.
I thought you were getting into the territory where you're saying anarchy is a concept. So to hold to anarchy, you still have to have a concept of what isn't anarchy and deliberately work against it.
Absolutely.
So you have a structure to go against, to make no structure. You have to have a structure to compare against and defeat no structure.
It's antithetical to itself. So we can so there are
Like
things that
zero,
we can
right?
imagine, like zero. Anarchy is like zero. It conceptually, you can't hold zero. Numbers are really that way in some ways. But zero specifically is a good sort of, is it real? Is it not real? If it's zero, if then it's just nothing. Then it doesn't even need a denotation. But we can see a structure in place, but we can't really necessarily see a lack of structure at any point in time, because there's always going to be, even at the minutest, even the laws of the universe have a set structure to it that it follows and abides by. So then it depends on what are you talking about. Are you saying, like, why, like, if someone is a pure anarchist, right, and they're very upset at this, why are you upset at what I'm saying? You're upset because of transmission of language, right? That's already been agreed upon, that words have certain meanings, and now that these words, you've digested them due to social context, structures, hello, and now you're taking offense to it.
Are you arguing
Dude,
with someone that was like
where-
2 years ago, like
where-
on your
No,
friends list?
I'm arguing. Yeah, no.
Where's the Wendy's, dude? Ask you where the Wendy's is.
I don't know what's going
I
on.
just wanted
here.
a burger. What the hell's this guy talking about?
Yeah, my brain just fried again. Like you're out in left field.
Someone in the chat said anarchy. They didn't know that it was going to trigger me like this.
I didn't know
Sorry.
it was going to trigger you either. I thought you had a point, where you're going to go somewhere, but you're just like, man, you can't have anarchy because anarchy doesn't exist. And okay,
But you see people all the time that well, I think it relates because a lot of people think that the AI and stuff is going to lead to some sort of like techno anarchist future. And I think that they're misunderstanding what you would have then is more of like a libertarian, which is not anarchy. Libertarianism is not anarchy. Libertarianism I don't necessarily agree with libertarianism, because I think that we all interact, and so we have to have an agreed upon social contract.
Mhm.
So I don't think AI is going to destroy that either. Um, you know, so I think a lot of people are like tech anarchists, and a lot of the people doing these scams probably consider themselves as such as well. Um, they're like, oh, I'm gonna mess around with the system and screw people over because, like, the system, man, I'm an anarchist. Like that's the vibe that I get from a lot of like the hackers and stuff, because a lot of hackers claim to be anarchists. You know.
Or they just see their opportunity and they don't really care because they say, well, maybe somebody else will do it instead of me, so why not
Well, they're
me?
just opportunists. They're opportunists, but they need an ideology that justifies their immense opportunism, and so they've misappropriated the concept of anarchy in order to create some de facto ideology that they're actually abiding by, so that they can still be the roguish modern person.
Yeah, I mean, it
Or not.
checks out. I get what you're saying for sure. I mean, we definitely have. What degrees do we run into with like the future of these political ideologies under situations where AI controls most things? Like, are you going to have people that are like the techno anarchists off in the corner, or like is that even possible? Because there could be decrees of like.
I think it's always going to be possible to some degree, because people are going to be able to the point in which there can no longer be dissension is the singularity. But not you can reach singularity with AI, and people might not necessarily reach that singularity,
That's
like
what
as
I'm
individuals,
thinking.
right? So in a scenario, let's say 20 years from now, we have something that's, let's say, 10,000 times the capabilities of ChatGPT. Um, who's to say that we haven't augmented ourselves? And who's to say that if we don't augment ourselves, that automatically that makes us all align in the same way? So, and the reason I would say that we will not align the same way, and we will not, um, there is a tendency in nature, like things evolve into crabs, right? But not everything evolved into a crab. So we see that even in nature, even through evolution, even through the means of progression, not everything takes the same path. And
I'll
so
give
I
you a
think there will
technical example.
always be differentiation.
A technical example is like when you query a GPT model, each and every single prompt that you do back and forth with the system becomes its own seed to how it will react to the next thing you say. So even within this sense, there it literally matters where you put your periods, where you put your commas, how your grammar is, right? And that'll dictate a decent amount of how it will respond to you. So even in an AI sense, each human brain is so unique that the way it will interact with you is going to lead to, honestly, a lot of diversity in thought and ideas that will come out into the ethos. So even if you have a singularity event, it's going to be a ton of noise and different people with all sorts of ideas, just like social media is now. We kind of had this discussion in the server, I think last night, just like briefly, but it's like, if we reach singularity, like, does everyone lose their sense of self? And the internet might be an example of that not happening. You may have like people that join like hive minds of like various personalities and they kind of want to be like them. I mean, that's kind of always existed with like fads and stuff. But you're going to have degrees. Yeah, you're going to have degrees of, they're going to be always, it's just like a more advanced and faster paced, there's thought leaders in all sorts of things. So ideas will diverge like to extremes, honestly.
We go wrap it back around to heaven banning. The anarchist starts posting in Reddit. He gets a ton of people saying, man, that's a great idea. They're not real. They're just amping them up. Some AI is amping them up because it increases engagement. They don't exist. He's looking at all those shoe ads now, though.
So
I'm just saying.
So if you want to wrap that around further,
Next
right?
step, he takes a custard pie to the Capitol. It's a disaster.
Right now, that's too expensive to do. But if we do get the new material, that won't be too expensive to do within the next 5 years. And it might not be that expensive to do within the next 5 years.
The internet might become total garbage.
Well, there might be a point where you have divergent parts of the internet that are like different nodes that you connect to.
Yes.
So I think like a lot of people tend to think that like Google, Facebook, or Meta, and now I guess the X Everything app and YouTube are just going to own every bit of the internet. Like that's where most discussion happens, you name it. But I think even within these social medias, with the amount of like advancement that AI can bring us in throughput, you're just going to be able to curate things to where it's even more advanced than the algorithm, where things are just curated for you specifically. And even if you're interacting only on YouTube, it's technically your own social media circle. So what I'm generally trying to say is like even within the paradigms that we're existing within, the advancement of AI on a personal level is going to change the experience significantly for each person, even more than just the algorithm does now. So you may eventually get to the point where you can do heaven banning and gaslight people into thinking all kinds of crap, but it's more likely.
It needs a better name than heaven ban. It needs something better, like Alice in Wonderland or something.
I think heaven banning has a lot of terrifying implications. I think that's a horrifying name. I think it's great.
Yeah, heaven banning is a good way to put it because it's just like we put you in exactly where you want to be. All the people around you on the internet now think exactly the way you do. They reaffirm your ideas. Maybe they even advance them a bit. They influence you. And that is obviously concerning, but it's not quite possible now in a really real sense. But maybe in the next 5 years, you'll definitely be seeing that. I mean, they definitely... Shadow banning is a real thing that happened. It was 100% real.
People didn't believe that for a while at first, that it was
a
the thing that was done, by the way. They didn't believe it.
It came out in the Twitter files.
Even before then, though, people knew about it, and other people were like, no, they wouldn't. They just ban you or they don't ban you. What are you talking about? They like half ban you.
Yeah,
they don't half ban you.
Yeah, even...
Yeah, because if they ban you, they have to explain something.
Even
because
with
that's the way that their rules and regulations. If they half ban you, then they can just keep you in that sort of state. But I wanted to go back to the whole singularity thing. It's like,
okay.
any any sort of like singularity is going to be completely based off of all the information that's collected, right? So if you have, and this is maybe this doesn't make sense, if you have an AI on one side of the world and an AI on the other side of the world, right? Even the positioning of which they're collecting all the information, the physical positioning is going to change very, very, very minutely, right? The way that they collect that information, the time it takes, right? All sorts of factors go into it. So even in that case, if both these
Divergence.
AIs achieved a singularity on their own, separate from each other, right? They were
It makes
separate
sense.
singularity sort of things. Then there would still be differences. Like even me, you, all three of us, right? Um, we're able to just right now because I think everyone defines singularity differently, but an AI having a singularity event could be separated, I think, from humans. It would just be able to, it would know all, it would have all knowledge, all feasible knowledge, all human knowledge, right? Of all the knowledge of its environment. But how far out would that spread? Right? How far out? Because that's kind of like a singularity in the science fiction sense is we all share the same consciousness. So that's kind of why, like, when people talk about AI singularity, I get a little confused because most of the time in which people are at least previously discussing singularity is within the idea of sharing consciousness. But consciousness is not a actual concept that is like viewable. It's not something that's real, right? I'm not saying it's not. It's not something that's. It's not real, right? We think it's there, right? But there's no definitive proof that it's there. So the people are like, oh, it's going to reach singularity is like it's going to reach, just make up a word. It's going to reach made up word here because there's no, you can't say it's going to reach this many kilowatts of power or it's going to have this many bits of information or terabytes of processing. Those are
Well,
all like literal things, but a singularity, it seems like the definition of that. How does an AI reach singularity without integrating with every other AI? Because that would be a then single within the term. So someone explain that to me a little.
Debugger's point was that it's probably based on like definitions. Like the water gets muddy with anything like this. Even
Semantics.
even current level AI, right? Was before I just started calling it AI because the useful term, right? I was like, that's not AI, that's
Hmm.
machine learning. It's semantics, right? Like at some point, like you are right if you say it's machine learning. It's generative pre-trained learning, GPT, right? But all right. The point is, you're in this scenario where you're screwed because if anyone's ever seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they ask the computer what the
Yep.
meaning to life is. It tells all the people that gathered there 7 million years later, the meaning of life is 42. And then the computer tells you, I will figure out the meaning of life, but I need to make a computer that'll take like 10 million years to, calculate what the meaning of life is because it has to make the perfect question, right? So you're kind of in a position where the singularity is more about the definition and whether or not we reach it. So it comes down to some sort of arguments of definitions. So if you're going to define it, I would probably define it something closer to what Debugger said earlier, where it's everything advances to the point that humans can no longer keep track of it, and then now you're in the singularity. That would be like the vaguest, lowest level explanation I could give you, is that like knowledge surpasses humanity to that degree. And
Okay.
that's not the
So
most satisfying thing for the record, because once
it
you go
appears
further,
though there's a
go ahead.
couple of different definitions. So as far as a singularity event within technology, that would be a singularity event in which technology growth becomes uncontrollable, it's irreversible, it perpetuates itself, right? But I think a lot of people are misconstruing the singularity, which we're probably already at if we're using that definition, right? Like technological singularity is the hypothetical point in time which technology growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. We're there. We're already at a
We've been there
technological
for a
singularity.
few hundred years now.
We've at least been there for 50 years.
Google's a good example, right? 2 billion lines of code. Nobody knows how Google works. They do not know how the entirety of Google works from everything. But in a collective way, it is the significant thing that works in the specific way. So if you had a sufficient enough AI or alien race that comes and looks at Google, they would know that we didn't build, no human built the entire thing, and no human understands how Google works exactly, right? So
Right.
that is like, you could
We
consider
can't
things
stop
like
it.
this. Yes, to some degree you can't. Like, there's the theory that like who can shut off Google, right? Like,
Well,
we don't really
if
know.
you can't as an individual, right, you need a collective action, and since collective action, we know how that works. So from a theoretical stance, I would say we're already at a technological singularity because there's no hypothetical scenario right now that I see in which people are going to revert technologically as a society. It's not something that enough people want. It's not something that enough people push for. There's small pushbacks, but people are like, okay, well,
Does it
don't do the
ever
AI thing.
happen?
But I still want my coffee maker. I still want electricity. I still want this, and then we're cyclical, right? So even if we revert somehow, we're going to want to develop. So that's the first point, right? Singularity within consciousness means single consciousness. Okay, so that means that all things share consciousness. Now we already know consciousness isn't even a fucking. It's not real. It's not a term we can understand or define, right? It's just not. Many people have tried. Many philosophers have tried. A lot of people, a lot fucking smarter than I have tried. But if we think about it from that perspective, um, even within the so-called single consciousness, you have thoughts that come into your mind. You're not sure why. That are not part of your ego. You have your subconscious, and you have other parts. You have your dream state when you talk to someone, right? In your dreams, they say shit that confuses you. I had a dream one time where I went on an adventure, and the guy that was with me the whole time fucking betrayed me at the end. The guy stabs me in the back. My own fucking subconscious mind betrays me to steal the treasure at the end. And then I think back on the adventure I've been having, and I was like, holy shit, he did this. Holy shit, he was there when that happened. That motherfucker. He was actually, holy shit, I should have known. Why didn't I know? How could I have not known? How could my own mind keep this from me? And
That
still
purple
somehow there
fuck.
was enough information. It was crazy. And then you have obviously the physics, right, of a singularity, which is a black hole. And so I think the problem is you have three different types of singularity, and they all get muddled together. They all get,
Well, yeah.
Conflation.
A lot of
yeah.
arguments are just simply semantic arguments because it has singularity. I mean, if we go by the definition that the amount of technology surpasses in the world, let's say the definition of singularity is there's so much knowledge in the world that one person can't know it. I mean, the Renaissance men were that, but shortly after that, can't know everything. They used to know like everything about several
Okay.
fields, but now can you know everything about medicine and engineering? Of
Yeah,
modern
that's a fair
knowledge.
point.
We've already reached that point a long time ago if you go by that definition.
So if you
Right.
go,
I mean, like, are we even conscious? Is because here's the thing, right? So, like
I
the
am. I
example I
don't know
gave.
about you.
No. How can you hold stuff from yourself if you're aware of the self? So being aware of the self means understanding the self and knowing the self. That means you truly understand all parts and know all parts about what the neural net that makes up you as an entity is. You don't know that. No one knows that. There's people hide stuff from themselves mentally. People have events that they don't think about. People have dark, or not even just dark, but deep urges that they just like, I've always wanted to do this, or I've always secretly loved this person I met, and they bury them down. They don't understand him. It comes out in ways they're not really sure of. How can one say that they know themselves when they truly don't? What is consciousness? And so that's why, like, when we talk about consciousness, singularity, and intent. Sorry, I apologize. I like the name though. That's why it's so difficult when we talk about a lot of these very advanced concepts, because I think that in some ways we're so far beyond what we thought we would be capable of, but we also highly overestimate what we understand.
well, if I were to define the singularity, I would say that my personal belief is that it requires a few steps is that like a definition that would satisfy me revolves around having artificial superintelligence that connects all humans in some way. I'm not saying we have to be the brain blob where everyone is the same now, right? It's just the internet of the mind, where everyone who wants to be a part of it becomes a part of the singularity. It is effectively what I think here. But
Right.
Okay.
There's theories going forward, right, where eventually that Earth gets so advanced that every molecule on Earth or whatever eventually becomes part of computer processing, right? And then that is part of your singularity event, where we're just on some big computer rock. And the theory going forward, right, is that there's things past the singularities, and then two singularities join in the future. Say Mars becomes that same thing, and then now you have two very large planets that are two compute rocks, right? And then eventually that expands to the universe, and it uses like the power of the sun, whatever our galaxy, right? Uses the power of this, and then over time you develop. Because you're obviously in this state of artificial superintelligence, you keep expanding that out to galaxy to galaxy to galaxy, to the point where eventually every single planet that there is that can emit some sort of energy, you wake the universe up at some point. And the singularity event is what accelerates us to that point. Is like, there's parts of, like, basically you can go and your definition could be very small, where it's just the humans reach some singularity event, or it could be that the universe wakes up because the entire universe becomes some giant computer that mesh nets together. So basically, it's a hard definition to work with because you can go that ridiculous where, I don't know. I would say you'd need a different definition for what I'm talking about.
I think what we're talking about is more shared consciousness, not singularity, because any situation when it's but even consciousness is, like we said, it's hard to define and hard to understand if it is if the self is a singular consciousness, right? Like, we don't know that. We do not know if the self is a singular consciousness or if it's multiple layers of consciousness, or because there's the split brain experiment that happens.
You make a good
there's
point.
all this stuff, right?
You make a good point because of how we apparently know GPT-4 works is that it's a bunch of different experts that are pre-trained that all communicate together, and then they complete the tokens, and then that's your response. So in theory, your brain could be similar in the same way. There are literally different parts of your brain that do different things, all contributing to your consciousness. So you might be right. You're not the same person every day is like the theory, right?
Well, there's a lot of different stuff. So are you familiar with the split brain experiments at all?
Yeah.
So they split the brain, and then one hand is like, I'm doing this, and the other hand's like, no, you're not. I'm doing this. And there's also the fact that, like, like I talked about, you have your dreams, you have different competing ideas, and then your conscious mind takes those competing ideas. A single solution ends up winning out. That doesn't mean that both parts of the brain agree, right? They can still disagree, but whichever one is currently, whatever action it is, there's a multitude of different networks coming together that might have different ideas, but one is still picked. That's why we have to deliberate within ourselves. That's why you talk to yourself. That's why you're like, I don't know, should I do that? Well, I could do that, but like, that's literally two different parts of you struggling over a concept. So I think that shared consciousness would probably be, I don't think it's feasible based on the information that we have at this moment on how the human brain functions, that there would ever be a true singularity. I think what we could have is more and more advanced and complex shared consciousness.
You make a good point, just overall, that like it, because even now with the way GPT works is that there's like tree of logic and self-criticism that you do on it. The more you make it quote unquote think, right, with its prompt chains, you effectively make it it comes to better decisions, just like you would do while you're trying to think something out yourself, or even you revert to you refer to the hive, right, which is the other parts of your friends, your family, and you talk to them about it, and it helps you come to a decision, whether the decision be for better or for worse. So maybe there's a natural thing within humans, just because of how we evolved in general, is that not only do you rely on others, you also rely on different parts of the brain, like different emotional states that you're in. So that all makes sense. We're definitely going to be learning
way a
about
lot.
this.
And it's very possible that that's if you've seen Psychopaths before, the anime. Yeah.
Wait,
so,
Psychopaths?
Like the
Which
way
one's
that
that?
works. Psychopaths. That is the one where basically they are able to tell if someone's going to commit a crime.
Oh, okay. I think I watched
by,
like the
reading a
first
bunch of
season of
stuff.
this. I was bored.
And it's just a ton of brains linked up together. But they also have these, and they're just normal people's brains. But they also then have like deviant brains, like sociopaths, and they have to have a certain amount of those because those are like extremely important for the process or something like that. So even in that case where they basically have a giant AI, like the brains don't always like agree, and like sometimes there's these variations. It's also the same as not Requiem for a Dream. Shit, the one with Tom Cruise, where they predict the future. He's gonna kill this person, and they have the 3 people in the tank, and they can like look into the future. Shit.
Well,
I
if you
don't know what it's
take,
called.
if you talk about
Minority Report.
there you go. Like if you talk about different models and it picks like for ChatGPT 4.0, it picks one, right? Well, that's how some of these neural nets have worked, right? Like you'll write for example, a simple one, you'll write a number, and then it'll put a bunch of outputs, like it'll have an output for every number, and it'll say like likelihood 0.7 that this is a 6. So it's taken the strongest signal and saying, okay, that's the number. So if you have competing ideas in your own brain, it's a very similar process. If you have a bunch of AI agents working together and most of them agree, you have like a syntax one that compares the outputs and says, okay, well, most of them are along this field of thought, so continue that. That's another way to get not a certain output, but a likelier output. Not just a yes or a no.
Yeah, that's basically how it works. So that's a good explanation, by the way. Yeah. So, do we want to continue on the brain topic, or are you guys like?
I think I've beaten it into the ground.
Yeah.
Unless anyone else has anything to add,
we could talk about anarchy in the brain.
I don't want to talk about anarchy in the brain.
I don't want to talk about anarchy.
I was just gonna give you guys.
You're just gonna have to. What's gonna have to happen is people are just gonna. You're just gonna have to mute when I sit up and my hands come up. That's when just mute the guy.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much. I kind of zone out sometimes.
Just like cover your ears like this, and just get on the air.
Yeah. But
we can move on. We can move on to a new topic.
Yeah. If you guys wanted to add anything else, then now's your chance. But we either move to a new topic, but if you guys don't have them, then I was going to.
I'm yoked out. Let's go to the next one. Let's talk about rollerblades on Mars.
All right. I think I'm just gonna end it there with rollerblades on Mars. I appreciate that. We'll go on next time with that, but it's getting to the point where we're pooping out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Wait.
Oh no. What about AI reading
brainwaves through routers and actually placing people in the room in their position? Okay, I think we talked about something to do with routers.
Wi-Fi.
We haven't talked about the brainwaves aspect of it, but we've talked about effectively if we're going to need higher security on routers in the future, because you can just track where anyone is in their room or in their house. And then with generative AI, we can get samples of you, your face, whatever parts of your body we get on social media, right? And then we reconstruct your entire body walking through your house.
It's like sonar.
So
It's just
effectively,
sonar,
like
but with a
all
different
privacy at that point is gone. You cannot have fun in your house, let's say, without somebody just selling that. I guess I don't know.
Watching.
So you're gonna have to build a Faraday cage into every house. Because if you don't have the Wi-Fi, you got 5 people around you with the Wi-Fi.
Also able to generate dream pics. Okay, yeah, so someone could eventually, with their Wi-Fi, I guess, like read degrees of your thoughts. That's probably possible
Or
in the
put the
future.
dream pics in.
I saw something where like McDonald's had like a patent for this, but I don't know if it's true. I love conspiracy.
Oh God! Don't say McDonald's has the patent for this.
Yeah, they want to put McDonald's commercials into your brain while you're asleep.
Holy shit! That is fucking dystopian. I told you. I see. And here's the thing.
It's the grimace
Here's
shakes.
the fucking
They're
thing.
coming for you.
It's a fucking grimace shake, and you guys laugh, and you guys are like, oh, the grimace shake. I'm not
Microbots
drinking
in the
this
grimace
shit.
shake.
See, I wear a lead line hat every night, and I don't want to drink a grimace shake. You losers don't wear a lead line hat to sleep every night, and look at you. You're grimace shake. Oh, I'm gonna watch the TikToks. You're controlled.
I think the lead's
Not
supposed
me.
to go on the outside.
I could really go for a
Not
grimace shake
me.
right now. It's a real shame that they're
You guys
discontinued.
You guys want to go get
I
a grimace
could-
shake right now?
I could go for a grimace shake. Oh God, no.
So you think your ISP will sell access to your router to McDonald's to stream McDonald's dreams?
Absolutely.
You'll be drinking,
How many people once they're
Travis
like,
Scott's
going
to show up in your dream, tell you about his latest
Fortnite burger.
meal.
Buy the Fortnite burger now.
You're going to have dreams about the Fortnite burger, and then it's going to come out a week later. And you're going to think like you saw it in your dream, so you got to go get it.
I gotta go get it. I predicted this. This is because of me. I did this. Well, how long until how many people are just outright arrested the moment they're like, we can read thoughts? Just outright. All right, buddy.
The second
the
second you can read a dog's thoughts, a lot of people's dogs are going to die mysteriously that year because the dog's seen them do too many things. I'm serious. Like I'm fucking 100% serious. There's going to be a mass die-off of house pets
100%.
are just going to die because we can read the house pets' memories and that
the dog was looking at the computer screen while you were watching that. They know the dog has that locked in.
Okay, I guess they want to speak, so here, let's pop her in. Okay, or is this the same trick as last time where they didn't want to speak, but they didn't come in? Whatever. The point is, once you get to that point, expect a lot of family pets that are so beloved to just randomly die because dad said some awful shit in front of it one day,
Well, but that's the other issue is how do you define passing thoughts versus actual ideas as well within that? Maybe there's a way to feasibly see the difference between those things, but it's also very feasible that you just have and everyone's had passing thoughts, just passing thoughts you're never going to talk to anyone about. That's the way consciousness works. It's a constant stream, right? So you're not responsible for every little thing that's in it.
It's called Call of the Void.
That's what they teach in meditation.
You're behind a cop and you think to grab his gun, right? It's just something that pops into your head. Or what would happen if I push someone off that cliff? A ton of people report this. It's the Call of the Void.
I've done this in a job interview. I've been like, what would happen if I punched this guy right in the fucking face?
You just punched him. After smiling and nodding, you just sock him right in the jaw. What would he do? He'd never be the same
See
after
if you
that.
can get the taskbar thing fixed.
Yeah, just try halving
I just think, what if
your screen or the window size, and it might.
You're right. I probably would not get
Probably
the job.
not get the job.
But what's really interesting is a lot of those thoughts only come about on first interactions with people, new scenarios.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if I've known someone for a long time and we're talking, I'm not going to think just in the middle of the conversation, what if I do something crazy? What if I start smacking myself? Those thoughts don't really. And so I wonder if that's a mechanism in the brain where we're in a new situation and our brain is he's a go-getter. He shows initiative.
I mean, I guess so. It's like the moment like you interact with something, it like the first thoughts are not always your last thoughts with it. So like as time goes on, you form a very like specific picture of someone the second you meet them, and then over time your picture evolves. So it could be the same thing with like the Call of the Void stuff, and then there's also like evolutionary pressure to be very quick to like violence, right? Like fucking, is this motherfucker gonna attack me? I better be ready.
Immediate.
So yeah, it makes sense. There's lots of like evolutionary reasons why you would have that. Something I wanted to say that I kind of just thought of is like the only time that I might actually support degrees of like AI regulation is the reading thoughts shit. But I don't know how you regulate that, because the point is maybe you can read the thoughts of just a Wi-Fi router eventually. How do you
like
stop
Magneto.
this? Magneto, yeah, I guess. We get our AI to generate thoughts that we don't actually have.
Just complete noise. You just wear something that just generates complete signal jamming.
So then it would be like in was it Philip K. Dick novel, I want to say. Anyways, they basically generated this thing that made like to where you couldn't it masked the person's face and it masked what they would say, so you couldn't really you couldn't see anything. You wouldn't know who it is for anonymity's sake. It'd be like the same thing. I would say if it worked for Charles Xavier, it'll work against a Wi-Fi router. So think metal helmet maybe. Don't let any waves get out. Or also just put a bunch of noise out there. You have a bunch of consciousness you've already sort of downloaded, like random people's daily thoughts, and it's like but it's on like an algorithm, so that way it's not the same ones all the time, and it just cycles through that, and you just have like a little, and so then it can't differentiate what's yours from what's the other ones. But that would be difficult because then it would be able to eventually over time
I'm just
probably single
picturing
out
an
what's
alien race like observing us from afar, and everyone is like everyone's schizophrenic based on all the noise that's coming off. They're like staying away
Oh
from
my
that
god.
scary ass
You're
planet
like
over there.
what's wrong with these people.
You're playing Intrusive Thoughts, the audiobook, like broadcasting those brainwaves constantly. You're like, yeah, stab him. Yeah, throw him over the cliff.
Killer.
They like
Kill him,
arrest
kill him
you, and you're like, no, officer, those aren't my thoughts.
It's literally
the,
like
the toddler at the Grand Canyon. Come on, you gotta throw me.
Don't give him like a good football spin as you throw him. Don't do it. Don't do it.
There was always this this comedian like brought it up a few times. Patrice O'Neill, he's dead now, but he used to be on a radio show, and he said he's like, yeah, I won't pick up a baby because like I used to play football and I immediately think spike the kid into the ground, and I don't know why. So I don't hold people's babies. And he was serious as he was serious as hell. He's got that Call of the Void shit where you can't do it. I can't hold the baby. Sorry.
I used to be like that. I used to be because I'm so tall, like kids, and they're so tiny and fragile. I'd be like, nah, you just like a 5-foot distance from me.
Well, thanks for coming to
there.
the Homebrew AI podcast.
Just stay
Talking
over there,
about
like
spiking
you're
babies in the ground.
If I tripped and fell, your life would end, or at the least you'd be like catastrophically injured. So just stay over there. I don't want
I used to have that when I was around 18. I used to have that fear around like kids because I was just bigger than them. So like I'm just like, man, if I slip, this fucker's dead. Like so you're like avoiding the kid. The kid's like, why doesn't?
Well, I have had it happen too.
Why doesn't her cousin like us?
But I did have it. I did have a time where at like a middle school dance or whatever, and because I've got really long legs, I was dancing and a kid was running, and the back of my heel caught him, and he tripped and he sailed forward into a wall, and he just shattered his arm, and I was like, this is on me, this is me, I did this. Oh my god, I have to hold up. I can't. But it's the same way with like I was at someone's a coworker invited me over for dinner, and he had a little rabbit that would go around all the time, and it was like this big, and I would be like, and I'm wearing these big steel toe boots, and I'm like, oh Jesus, oh it's underneath my feet, oh God, I don't want to step on your rabbit, that would ruin everything. That would, I think I'd walk out if I stepped on someone's rabbit and he just squealed. I'd be like, I gotta
find
go.
out.
I'm leaving. I'm gone. I can't handle this situation. This is too much.
Leave before the Wi-Fi router outs you as the one who stepped on it.
It's like the Sopranos episode where he's high and he sits on the dog and suffocates.
I have a horrible story if you want to hear.
Okay, yeah. It'll make me feel better.
Here, you want some childhood trauma? One time I was a little kid, there was I had let's just say we didn't have we had part of the family that was a little more on the druggy side, right? And I was over at their place one time, and they had a dog that had puppies, and I went to go help them with the puppies and get the dog some water or whatever, and there's a pot, right? That you go change that water out for the puppies, right? So one of my older cousin girls told me or whatever, right? I was like, oh, okay. I think I'm like 6 at the time, 7, probably around 6. I
This
go
podcast
and I
sponsored by PetSmart, the
Yeah.
smart place to
I don't
shop.
like this.
so I go and grab the pot, right? I'm just a little kid, and I grab the pot and lift it up, and a flat puppy falls and hits the ground. So one of these
What had
people,
happened?
one of these people was so high that they came in there with the water for the puppies and sat it on one of the
Just
puppies,
set it down.
and it flattened it.
Oh!
I buried it.
Oh!
Poor little guy. But yeah, so that's
Jesus.
We probably do need Ramsick in here. We
do.
probably do.
That's terrible.
Puppies go
horrible.
flat. Now you know.
And then the
We got-
babies
okay.
have they have a spot in their skull where I could just press in with my thumb. Like, that's not right. That's not right. Who built them that way?
Who built
They're
them
testing
that way?
Who
Testing
decided
you.
that they should have a soft spot? They're testing me. You're not gonna do it. You could though, couldn't you? You could do it.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Debugger.
And then it's like for the rest of your life, your cousin is just like a little slow. And it's like, we don't know what happened to him. And you're like,
Yeah, me
I
either.
was 6.
Me
I
either,
was
dude.
6 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sorry. Oh man.
What's this tweet?
Is this the gangster computer god?
This just seems like slightly schizophrenic. Seems like a little bit of schizobabble. But yeah, I don't know.
Schizobabble. Hey,
That's
you think
what, when I
hey,
there's so many people that I go ahead.
the schizos are going to be really useful because we can use that to train the model that we use to create the noise so that people can't get our thoughts from the Wi-Fi. We need to keep them talking as much as possible, so you need to feed the schizo.
We need to keep the schizos
So
alive.
you're telling me in
Have we not
2030...
been feeding the schizos? Have we been starving the schizos?
Oh my god, so you tell me in 2030 they're gonna like try to hijack your brain thoughts and they're just gonna hear like puppy under the vase. Like- Is
It was a pot.
that what they're gonna hear? If they're gonna hear like ice cream yum, like that's all they can get.
It's just the fucking ice cream's so good. That's just your thoughts being.
Gang
Oh
gang.
no!
That's what you're doing.
It's when the feds come in, you like play that in your head, and they're like, "Yeah, this guy, don't worry about him. He's fine. He's a dud. Ice cream's so good. He's another NPC." Oh, referencing the dogs being able to verify who you are when you're able to communicate with them.
What does that
Yeah,
mean,
people's
though?
dogs. I think like I would say like 80 to 90% of dogs would die.
Oh, like
Family
you'll have had them around like when someone did something illegal and there'll just be a liability.
Or they just said something that wasn't okay. The dog's like, "Yeah, I heard what he thought about those people."
Listen,
You
you
know
gotta
what I
get rid of the dog
Welcome-
somehow.
Welcome to Homebrew AI episode 9.
Kill your dog.
Lassie,
Grimace's dead
shut up!
dogs. Grimace's dead dogs.
Lassie, what? The dog's gonna be like, well, the dog
Lassie's a
overheard
liar,
it,
Your
so you
Honor.
tell your kid that- Lassie is full of shit.
She's full of shit. I
Or
didn't do that.
It's gonna go tell your kid like, "Oh, by the way, they do like your sister better than you." They were talking about it. I was in the room.
Yeah, someone said once that like once we get to the point where you Neuralink with your cat, like we're really gonna figure out what cats think of us,
Yeah,
and it's not gonna be fun. They're gonna be fucking dicks, fucking
There
shit
won't be
talking you
cats
all
after
day.
that.
There won't be
What
cats.
think. You don't need to Neuralink. You don't need a Neuralink with a cat to know what it fucking thinks. You know what
sure
it
about
thinks.
that?
It's a little bastard. It's a little fucking bastard who does whatever the fuck it wants, and as long as you keep feeding it, it'll pretend like it gives a shit. It fakes
Right.
meowing. Meowing's not real. That's fake. It's bullshit. Meowing is not real. They don't do that. They don't do that in nature. They do that for you.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to simulate a baby like noise. I think that's what it is.
Sickening.
So is it selectively bred by humans then? Because the ones that made more like baby noises were the ones that were more liked.
Well,
Like
they got the most.
That's
They got the most feed, so yeah, you're cute.
But
So
they
that-
still don't interact with other animals that way. They don't interact with other cats that way. They'll bark at dogs.
just the cats.
I
want to
Neuralink with a crow. Yes, cats will bark.
Why are your ambitions
Right at
so low?
dogs.
Wouldn't you want a fleet of crows that you Neuralink with?
I want to know what
You
that
just
crow's
want
thinking.
one.
How is the crow?
I want to know what that fucking
Just one
crow's
crow.
thinking.
What's that crow now listen, shut up. You know crows.
You've been in my window all fucking day, crow, and I need to know.
What do you want? What do you want from me? There's nothing in here for you. But crows can communicate.
Crumbs, asshole.
Oh, that's it? Okay. Crows can communicate a human face in enough detail to other crows that every other crow will know exactly what you look like. By going like this. Ah! And they're like, oh yeah? What were his eyebrows like? Ah!
Actually true.
He had a beard, you say. Ah! Like, what the fuck? And I can't communicate my feelings to other people with a very large lexicon, and this crow's sitting over here.
Thank God he's gone, huh?
He moved into the audience. Let's get him back in.
My haters. My haters.
That's how you know you're
Many of
onto
them out there.
something. That's how you know you're onto something.
Why
But
is
yeah,
he-
I think that's.
he's
I
trying
think
to.
that's stuff
He's
like
trying
that.
to decipher the crow language over here.
Ah!
I fucking lost it, dude.
Wait, maybe.
I'll invite him again. Here, he can call at us all day. Hi, Burby.
Oh yeah, but that's just like How do they do it? Like whales, I get how they communicate. That shit's like really complicated, but not crows. Doesn't make sense to me.
It's the same thing, but
Shut
like
the fuck up about the crows.
Okay, sorry, no more crow talk. I'm obsessed with crows. I'm gonna Neuralink with like 5,000 crows and take over the world.
What can you tell me about ravens?
I don't know, they're just fucking like spooky crows, aren't they?
It's the same fucking bird.
I think there's different species, and like I think they call them different things depending on where they are, but I think they're pretty much the same family of bird. I think for the most part, there's not like a big crow raven distinction. There's no.
Shut the
You're
fuck
gonna
up
get sucked up
about
by
the
a-
fucking crows.
He asked. He doesn't like
You sound
crows.
like
He
a
doesn't
crow
like
and you
that.
said ass.
Debugger, stop moving him. We get it.
The guy doesn't want to talk about dead dogs. He doesn't want to talk about crows. What the hell does he want to talk about? What is left?
Listen, I think my story about the dead dog already won. I'm going to be honest.
I agree.
So sleeping
I
dogs
think it was
lie,
pretty
huh?
good.
Move on from that topic.
Poor puppy. Fuck.
I think he was doing a little more than sleeping.
Listen, I got worse stories about dogs. Do you want me?
No, I'm okay.
You
I'm
sure?
all right.
I got
I
way
think I'll
worse
be
one.
okay. I think. But like this is like technology, like the speaking to animals thing, stuff that was like talked about for like a very long time now. And like if you're familiar, the original way that they thought they would do it is like just like collecting all the noises that the animals would make. You know, like a dog, all the different barks, and then like kind of putting it into like a translator. But like straight into their mind. That's the other thing is how would we like? There's no guarantee that. Well, there's no guarantee that well, we know this. All human brains do not process information, therefore they do not output information in the same way. So there would not be any sort of like Rosetta Stone tablet for how a brain is, what the information. So it certainly wouldn't be like, well, I can read human brain waves, so now I can automatically know what the crow's talking about. Because even if you're speaking a different language, the way that your brain operates is different, and the sort of limits that you put on yourself based on the language that you speak in are different. Which is why social stuff is different with different languages as well.
You can just
So,
develop a
it's-
training method that will probe. You connect it a bunch, and then you just test some things and just calibrate it.
There are people trying to decipher like mushrooms languages. For the record, they think they communicate in like 30 words.
They do, yeah.
Something to that effect. No, I don't know if
The
that's
mushroom languages.
Yeah, if you eat them, they talk to you.
I had some mushrooms speak to me.
Yeah, we know about your fucking escapades. Don't tell everyone. But anyways, the point is that machine learning will enable us to fucking decipher all sorts of languages. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we accomplish that. For the record, Johnny, you'll be able to talk to your crow friends.
What if it's like disappointing though? What if you like get into like the dog's brain and it's just like kibble yum like for like 12 hours?
The dog's doing the fucking TikTok live stream. Is that what you want?
Yeah, because you fucking.
Dude, your dog's falling for phone scams. We're all fucked, dude. You give me a bone? Wonderful. Bone's so good.
The dog's just watching. Scammed. You walk in and the dog's like on it's like sitting on its hind legs in the chair at the computer, and you look on the screen and it's just ice cream, so good, yeah. And you're like, no, God, what have we done?
I think it's a little too far, and you walk in, your dog's got its ass to the mirror. I think it's a little too much.
Oh no, your dogs are sending nudes to each other.
Yeah.
Wait, can a dog be nude? I guess you take the collar off, it's nude, right?
He's not wearing pants. Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on this. I literally have zero. I have zero things to say about this.
He's fucking shooting Pepe.
I have zero things to say.
You don't have anything to say about nude dogs? You take the collar off. You never heard that one?
I don't want to communicate with my animal. I don't want my dog to come sit in my lap and it's just like, I'm in heat. I need to breed. I'm like, all right, get the fuck off me. Get the fuck off me. Get off me. Don't touch me.
Why do you think it's going for you, dude?
I don't need to know when my...
It hears the neighbor dog in the...
It's not going for me. Yeah, it's not going for me.
Why are you talking about the dog getting in your lap?
Like near me.
Why are you talking about dogs getting in heat?
Yeah, he's saying the dog got in heat and it got on my lap. I heard you said all these things too close together.
Here's the thing, right? So you know when you hear all the nice frogs when you go out at night, you know what they're saying? Someone fuck me! That's, if you read Animals' Minds, that's what they'd be saying. They'd be like, right here, fuck me. I don't want to know. I want to think they're singing beautiful lullabies. Here. I want to think they're singing nice, beautiful frog lullabies. That's what I like when I go out at night and I sit at the pond. I don't want to know what they're saying. I don't care.
So you don't want the translator or the ribbit want some fuck?
So you don't want your pond to turn to Craig
I don't want it.
You don't want your pond to turn to Frog Craigslist? Is that what you're saying?
It's just, because it'd be weird. Like, I think there's just lines you don't cross. You know what I mean? Like, dogs are like, they're not going to think that many complex things. They think, I'm hungry. I need attention. I need to take a shit.
The webcam.
I want to have sex.
2 vapes away. There's one. He's going to lick the webcam soon. Don't do it. We don't need you to dog. Oh, God. I don't like his fucking vampire tongue. No, stop it.
Okay, I'm sorry. There was one time.
There we go. Who the fuck am putting a butt plug in here? What the fuck is going on in here? I moved into the audience on accident. Stop it! Okay, he's in. We're good, right? Apparently? Okay.
But the point being is I don't think communicating with animals is going to be some like, oh my God, my dog thought of these really cool things. It's just going to be like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I want to chase the rabbit. Yeah, it's going to be a hindrance. We don't need to know that the dog is thinking, you know. I saw something outside. That's why, like, if your dog's barking It's barking because it saw something or it thought it saw something. It's not that complicated.
Bro, you're going to be chilling with your dog, talking to it. It's going to be fun. You're going to love it. He's going to be more than your best friend. Yeah, it's going to happen.
I don't want to talk to the
I thought we got
animal.
away from this topic from being more than best friend.
I didn't mean to use those words. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I just meant he's going to be like,
thinking that. I was not thinking that.
Okay, that's fair. He did make that fucking point where he's thinking that. It's on you.
I never thought any of that. I was just saying, like, if you could read people's minds, it would be uncomfortable, right? It would be weird.
Wouldn't that be weird?
Walking around and the guy behind you. Yeah, it'd be weird. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to read people's minds. I wouldn't want to be like, this fucking guy, I hate this guy so much.
It'd be like schizophrenia.
Yeah. And then the same thing with like a dog.
Barrage.
I don't need to know. There's just things I don't want to know. I don't need to know. I'm happy not knowing. Ignorance is bliss.
But are you sure?
My mind is just crow noises.
Thinks of you?
I know what my neighbor thinks of me. He hates me, and I hate him.
Oh.
I don't need any telecommunicative powers to figure that one out.
We had this conversation a few unrecorded podcasts ago. I don't need to hear it.
He's a cocksucker is what he is.
Okay. So this is why you want your crow army, right?
What goes through his brain is I'm gonna
you don't need
spray more Roundup on every living thing.
You don't need to fucking say anymore.
Sorry,
it's
I'm
okay. Done. You leave that neighbor alone, okay? He's a swell guy, right? Right, Johnny?
He's a great guy. I love him to death. Love all my neighbors. Love everybody. Always have, always will.
Johnny is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. The AC isn't working. It's too hot. It's rising my temperature.
You fucking rise my temperature.
Oh,
blood pressure's dying over.
That reminds me. I saw an article. So, if you're familiar with like people in hot climates versus people in cold climates, people in hot climates their blood thins, so they get thinner blood. If you're in a cold climate, you actually get slightly thicker blood. I saw an article by the Telegraph that was saying, beware of blood clots during summertime because hot weather thickens your blood and will give you blood clots. And so that's the thing. If anyone gets a blood clot and dies, it's because of the heat, because it's thickening blood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So everything that we knew about blood previously was all wrong. It's actually the exact opposite. So just wanted to let you guys know.
I'm fucking ending it for the record. Not like ending me,
we're done.
But we're cutting it there. We're going to talk about the crows fucking next, and I don't need that. We're done. I'm ending it here. We've done 3 hours.
Crows fucking?
We got aliens, crows fucking, dead dog, reading your neighbor's thoughts. I think it's a good series.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great.
I think we got a little bit of everything. We got JFK. We got the CIA.
We did. Okay. Okay.
We did. You gotta touch
That's
on
it. Good night. Sayonara. All that shit. Go fuck yourself.
I'm about